Hello, and welcome to Nice and Blunt. I'm Adam Riancho, your host, and it is Sunday, July 19th, 8:30 p.m. Time for another live stream. We're going to draft some best ball teams. Let's go. All right, we're here, and we got W for Omega in the chat. What's up, dog? How we doing? We got Mr. Mufasa as well. Yo, how we doing? The Google Translate thinks you typed yes for some reason, but it fucks up a lot of the time. So here we are. We got A-Rod as well. We got Danimal in the house. What's up, everyone? Which draft should we hop into? I think I kind of want to do the PPR Frenchie, like perhaps all night. I haven't drafted many teams in this contest yet. I only have 3 teams so far, and I definitely want more. So I think I'm just going to do that. Maybe we'll open up a poll later, but I think for the first portion of the stream, we'll probably lock in with the PPR Frenchie. We got Scott approving. Let's do this. You got it, Scott. Let's do it. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Hopping into the PPR Frenchie. And it was insta-fill. Insta-filled. So there's probably some people already sitting in this one. Maybe you hopped in, maybe you didn't, but let's take a look. Damn it! Zero got in here. We're right next to Zero Fucks. Of course we are. He'll snipe me probably I'll stream. Now, Zero just knows what to do, so I'm not going to get any good values on the long turn most of the time. That'd be my guess. But Piggy Lover pulled the 101. Mad Mallard at the 102. Fugie Man. Dr. B was here. Jobu 244. Czonk 72. KW Hill. We may have drafted with him, but not totally sure. Tanker Bar 0. D-Man FTW. And then Shiva. I believe we only drafted with 0 and Shiva before. But good luck, everyone. Excited for this to take place. And if you are new to Underdog, if you are curious what's going on, and you would like to sign up, we can also offer you $50 in bonus entries on sign up. Link is in the description. Promo code BLUNT on sign up, available for new customers. Go for it. Pretty good deal, if you ask me. But how we doing, Zero? Just finished his 2 DK drafts to get 1 free, so I'm back to Underdog. Gotcha. Good luck in this one. I believe you're the only one who's watching that might have made it, but good evening, young Mulat. Nice to see you. What contest is this? We're in the PPR Frenchie, and that will impact some of our decisions throughout the course of this draft. But thanks for reminding me. In all honesty, I may have already forgotten if you didn't mention it. Hope everyone had a good weekend. I told y'all yesterday about the movie I was going to see. I did not see The Odyssey last night. I saw an old movie in the theater, The Thing, John Carpenter's The Thing. And there were definitely moments where I was like, yeah, this movie could be a little bit better. But what sold it were like 3 or 4 scenes with the monster. If you haven't seen it already, I highly recommend. But we're not getting a round 1 receiver here. Tempted to just go AJ Brown for a second, but I think I'll take Genty. I think I'd rather have Genty in full PPR than Jonathan Taylor. He had 55 receptions last year. I think that will go up. There's not many receivers in that offense, and Genty is an excellent pass catcher, so I do prefer Genty over Jonathan Taylor. Last time we were in full PPR, we took Taylor, so that may have been not the best move, but I think that team was still okay. Still a decent team. In full PPR, though, I'll take the pass catcher more reliably. That goes to Genty over Taylor. But Taylor goes at pick 12. He's still a decent pick. Could still be top 5 at the position very easily. Touchdowns are the name of the game ultimately, but in full PPR, it matters just a little bit less. All right, here we are back on the clock. I would have probably taken Chase Brown if available, but getting in at receiver I think is also wise. There are not that many players that can put up the numbers in the next few rounds, like someone like A.J. Brown, who should probably leap up to 150 targets. If I had to guess, Mike Vrabel traded for him for a reason, wanted to be reunited. And A.J. Brown had a pretty down year last season. It wasn't the most productive year of his career. Barely cracked 1,000 yards. Also pretty melancholic over there in Philadelphia. Not sure if the weather is going to be much better in New England, but at the very least, Drake May is going to throw him even more passes. Let's stay balanced. Let's go with a receiver in the second round and lock up those PPR points. I love Hampton, but I got a lot of them. Achane is good, but only in this format would I like upgrade him at all. I kind of feel like it's still a problem because it's the Dolphins offense. So I'll just go A.J. Brown. I want to stay balanced, see how it turns out. And we got our preference at running back. We took Genty. We're in okay shape. But hello, Batwheat. How we doing? Hello. Yeah, just a little late, but no worries. We'll be drafting a few tonight, so there will be more chances. And good evening, Anthony. Nice to see you. Welcome in. Welcome in. We did not wait very long from when we went live to started drafting. So if you wanted to hop in the first draft, first of all, we basically filled it. It was already very few spots available. So at least I get one that's not with all of you sickos. When the lobby is like exclusively friends and family, it feels a little less likely that you'll make it out of it alive. To finish top two in one of those feels a little bit less likely. But in this one, fair game. And who knows, maybe I should have taken a running back there, but I understand the options coming back at receiver. They're just not quite the same in terms of the true upside of what A.J. Brown can offer me. I think it is a different proposition. But so far, nothing too crazy in this one, other than maybe Jeremiah Love going 2 spots above Derrick Henry. Jeremiah Love probably catches more receptions than Henry, but still it's a matter of touchdowns and yards. And I don't know if an extra 20, 25 catches, maybe a little bit more than that, maybe like 30, 35. But that's just not quite enough for me to be desperate for those points compared to the Ravens offense and the Arizona offense. I personally wouldn't take Jeremiah Love that high. But that's just me. I could be wrong about it. We'll see. But Egbuka's still here. Grabbing a receiver could be valuable. The next 2 teams both have 2 running backs. So I think there's going to be at least one running back I still like making it back. And last year, Egbuka had 127 targets. I'll take Egbuka here. T. Higgins and him could be equal in terms of touchdowns, but T. Higgins usually catches nothing crazy, like 75 catches, 42 catches, 73 catches, 59 catches. I would expect more volume to go to Egbuka compared to Higgins. But Egbuka's catch percentage didn't look too good when we saw the stats briefly on the screen. But we're entering the 4th round, so I'll either have Josh Allen left to me or one of these 2 running backs probably. I might still pivot off of the ADP here, though. Not fully sold, if it's correct. But if one of them had made it, I would have taken Travis for sure. Javonte here is an interesting decision. Had 35 catches last year. Not really involved in the passing game. Really bad in terms of receiving yardage. The year prior, he had way more, though. So it's not like he can't be used that way, but he just wasn't in Dallas. So I'll trust what they put on tape. Maybe I should take Josh Allen, but I'm perfectly happy just grabbing Cam Scatterbo here. So I'm going to do that. I'm not worried about the failed backflip. I would love if he would just stop doing it. Like, there's not much to gain from it other than hyping up the crowd. But If he fucks it up his knee, that'd be fucking brutal. So hopefully, if he does it again, he just lands it and there's no concern about it. But Scatabo, I do believe in it, and he can also catch like 4+ receptions per game if they choose to use him that way. So not many receivers in the New York Giants system at the moment. Neighbors, not quite sure what to make of him. So I had Genty, but no one else. I'll go Scatabo. The drop off from Scatabo's true ceiling and whoever will be available at running back in the next tier, pretty significant. Even if it's Beischel Tootin, I think Scatabo is going to be way more valuable than Beischel Tootin. But how we doing, McNix? Good evening to you as well, Mr. Blunt. Nice ring to it. But your soothing sound is in here as well. Tennessee Titans fan. Hear ye, gather around the blunt smoke. Do we need to hit the pipe just for this comment? If anything, yeah, sure. Let me pack a bowl in honor of the ye old regalia, or is that just like clothing to wear? The vibes are definitely ye old vibes. Let's gather around the smoke. But Batwheat drafted Gene T and Chase Brown in PPR last night. Felt right. Yeah, if Chase Brown was available, I think I would have taken him there. I think Chase Brown is the one that gets elevated for sure in the second round. I'm not fully convinced I want him over Genty, James Cook, maybe even Jonathan Taylor, but there's an argument for it. And then him versus Hampton is a pretty interesting discussion. But those two are going to be pretty valuable in the passing game. I would expect a lot of receptions out of them. But there's also the nature of how receiver needs to be played. And as we saw, all 6 receivers went off the board sooner in the first round in this setting, which by the nature of that maybe makes round 2 receivers also a little bit more valuable. The position is definitely more coveted in general. But Carnell Tate goes at 51. I kind of like that pick in this format, to be honest. We've seen Brian Dable send a shit ton of volume to his wide receiver 1. But we're back on the clock. We could go receiver with BTJ or go like Bucky Irving. Judkins didn't catch many passes last year. Tootin, though, should be the receiver back, the receiving back. I might just go Tyler Warren. Was it just me, or did that pick go off the board with like 2 seconds still on the clock? But Tootin's fine. I'm okay with it. I think of those 3 running backs, I think he will catch the most passes. Unless the role for LaQuint Allen is really popping off this year. Unless LaQuint Allen can just keep Beischel Tootin off the field in those circumstances, I think that the receiving role for Beischel Tootin is pretty safe, if you ask me. Because Chris Rodriguez is pretty abysmal in that regard. But Andrew F15 saying Cam Scatabo is the worst pick on the entire board. I highly disagree. Is it risky? Of course. Is it worth it? I think so. I really do. I think he has a higher ceiling than Breece Hall. The Giants have an extremely cushy schedule. The John Harbaugh offense, I think, wants to run the ball. They don't have any other weapons other than him. And if you really look at the schedule, they're going to have some easy matchups. He was a insane play last year. So I trust him quite a bit. But instead of Jordan Tyson, I'm just going to take Drake May. I'll get the stack with A.J. Brown. If we're going to take A.J. Brown at 15, we're saying it's worth it. Let's do it. But I could have gone with receiver there, but not fully convinced that Tyson is like a lock to hit. I do feel very confident that Drake May is a pretty big lock. But real quick on Scatabo before we move off. Last year in his last 5 fully healthy games, he was averaging 18 fantasy points per game. It was like 17.9, 17.8. It was just shy of 18 half PPR points per game. He was giving you about roughly 100 yards per game, 3.8 receptions per game. He also scored, I believe, 6 total touchdowns in those 5 games. He was popping off, and I don't think after that production, Tyrone Tracy is a major threat to him. It's just a question of health, and if you're afraid to do it, then be my guest. Pass on him. But I'm not. I'm fine with it. In best ball, I want the highest ceiling, and in this round, he may not have the highest floor, but he has the highest ceiling, in my opinion. He proved it last year. So fade him if you want. I am not one of those people who is afraid to draft Cam Scatabo. But W for Omega, my weed tea is kicking in, and I'm going to talk about my 4 tight end builds seeming so strong and waiting forever for them. It's worth mixing in on occasion, but is it the strategy I believe in most? No. I can't say the 4 tight end build gives me a ton of confidence, especially in 18-round drafts. I think stopping at 3 is my preference. I really like the 3 tight end builds, but 4, just a little bit too much for my liking. But if you're going to do it, they better be all pretty cheap. And there are a few really high upside swings you can go with super late. So I don't mind mixing it in on occasion, but it's absolutely not my preference to draft 4 at the tight end spot. But W for Omega, it's just the weed tea talking. Yeah. Good luck with that. But McNix says, if LaQuint Allen pops off, I will be flat broken on the lamb from the IRS. The lamb? Maybe I'm not familiar with that term, but it would be pretty shocking if the 7th round pick, LaQuint Allen, from not this year, the year prior, who did nothing his rookie season, is that much more relevant in year 2. Maybe if Baishal Tutin gets hurt, I could see LaQuint Allen be a thing, but in general, this is the only contest where he would ever matter. I would mix him in round 20 on like drafters, but round 18, I'm probably still not drafting LaQuint Allen. I'm going to trust that Baishal Tutin gets that job. But Kraft is still on the board. We could take Kraft, but I think Godwin is a slightly better, more reliable volume bet. I always love Justin Herbert, but on a team with Drake May, I think I might prefer to do that. We are heavily committing to Tampa Bay, though, and I think it's all right. I think just locking in Baker is going to be the move, but I'm not too upset with this. It's a little bit risky, but ultimately the double stack in Tampa is not the craziest thing. Not at all. Baker has put up a top 5 season just a couple years ago, so definitely a player I've seen prove it in the past. I could definitely see him do something like that again. But thanks for passing me, Marv. You're welcome, Zero. Your fixation with Marv is rather insane to me. I mean, I guess I understand it. They have to see what they got in the 4th overall pick. New regime needs to have a full understanding of his upside and capabilities and how much they trust him, but yikes, man. I just don't see it. I just don't see why it's that important. But if Marv's the player you need, I will be owing some money to the IRS. I'll tell you that. That'd be pretty insane. I don't really have any Marv. If I had to guess, I'm at like 2% Marvin Harrison. That's my guess. Volume wise though, love Michael Pittman here. Running back is not the play in my opinion. We could go with Kraft, but if you look at his numbers last year, only 32 catch. Actually, you know what? Fuck it. I'll take Kraft. I'm forgetting he had only 8 games. He got injured in like 8 games. So that's 4 catches per week. That could be better. But Romeo Doubs left. Dontavian Wicks left. We got him at a discount. I kind of regret the Kraft pick almost instantly, but compared to where Tyler Warren went, that's kind of a big drop-off, but Tyler Warren goes there for a reason. He's going to get maybe 140 targets. Kraft might barely crack 100, so maybe less valuable in this contest. I kind of instantly regret the Tucker Kraft selection, but Pittman fell to 93, so it's still one of the possibly elite tight ends. The way he produced his numbers last year feel a little bit hard to repeat, and then the volume might not be the safest thing to bet on in Green Bay. Like Green Bay's receiver 1, whether it's Kraft or one of the actual wideouts, rarely goes over like 5 catches in a given game. Like the Matt LaFleur offense doesn't really give you a shit ton of volume to any particular player, but it has been crowded in the past. This year it might be different, a little bit more consolidated. And Kraft is not going to come off the field for Luke Musgrave. He should be one of the leading touchdown scores on the team. So at the very least, we get that. At pick 87, it's okay, but like I said, I kind of regret it. But Zero Scat was averaging those points after Tracy went down, but Scat Bulls won't tell you that. It did happen in correlation with Tracy going down, but once Tracy came, Tracy was only out for like 1 or 2 games. Tracy came back and they were on the field for like 3 weeks, I believe. Tracy was like clearly losing his job once he came back on the field. It did overlap. It wasn't like Tracy stayed off the field entirely while Scatabo was popping off, and then only when Scatabo got hurt did Tracy come back. I'm like 97% sure some of their weeks overlapped. But here, Brooks, I do think will catch a lot of passes in the Panther system, but I know for a fact Rachaad White is going to do that. I'll take Rachaad White as RB4. Running backs after Rachaad White are pretty worthless, and in this format specifically, I think Rachaad has like way more value. I should probably grab Baker Mayfield, but I'm actually going to push it. I think I'm going to push it by having both Igbuka and Godwin. There's really only the Kenneth Gainwell drafter I have to worry about, maybe the Bucky Irving drafter, but I've seen Baker fall plenty of times. I'm at pick 10, so it'd be quite a fall, but I've seen it happen before. We've got him at 130, and maybe in this contest, the quarterback position might fall a little bit more. We'll see what happens. I would have loved to have Wandale there instead of Shiva. He took him. Pretty good pick. The volume is pretty safe to expect. Instead, I might just go with the double stack with Romeo Doubs here. Like, it's still the Patriots. I have Drake May. Drake May made Kayshon Boutte a big deal last year, so I'll go Romeo Doubs. I'll pass on Matthew Golden. I already have Tucker Kraft, so I don't think I would expect Jordan Love to make it back, and I'd rather just further bet on this Drake May selection. So 1 quarterback, 1 tight end, 4 running backs, and 4 receivers through the first 10 rounds. And the team's decent. Team's not bad. Receivers a little bit odd. Both Patriots, both Buccaneers. Wouldn't say to do that all the time, but it's interesting. We'll see. Andrews has 70 teams all without him, and I am sleeping so tight. I had him on my fantasy team last year and shipped him before the injury. He will get hurt. It's no longer a question of if. It's when. Good luck, Andrew. If you're right, that's going to be great for you. There are some players I would be afraid to have 0% of, and Scatabo is one of them. I will say that. But what's up, fam? Speaking of Scatabo believers, our boy Huhames on the Scatabo train before I was. Part of the reason why I was sold on it, but to acknowledge that there isn't any risk would be kind of crazy. But what's up, Huhames? Family soup to you as well. McNix, I may need to crash on your couch if LeQuint goes ham. How much Beischel Tootin do you have, bro? How much Tootin are you clicking? That's kind of crazy. But you'll bet K Will goes 4.554. I don't know. So far, they have Lamar and Stafford. We'll see. But you can share my cardboard box, brother. You can't actually be afraid of LeQuint. That'd be pretty crazy if that was legit. But boy, I fell back on the chat real fast, didn't I? I drafted against him twice, and he did it twice. A-Rod, but then he mixed in a 1781. Oh. That's weird. Yo, Baker made it back. It was all worth it. All the right choice so far. Tempting to push it one more round, honestly, but Shiva doesn't have a single quarterback yet, and there are some backstacks there. So having both Igbuka and Godwin, I'm not going to fuck around. Just take Baker at 130 and be happy about it. This is the second time we've taken Baker at 130 in like the last 2 weeks, basically. I believe we took him this exact same pick about 10 days ago. I don't know if I was double stacked in the same way like I am here. I think I had Kenny Gainwell and Igbuka, but is Chris Rodriguez Jr. 1A, 1B with Tootin? I think they have very different roles. I think he's clearly the number two, but I do think on the goal line he will be basically a 1A 1B, might even be the 1A on the goal line. I could see Chris Rodriguez be a very annoying factor on the goal line. Last year, that's what was his calling card in Washington. But this is an interesting spot. Kind of tempted to take Tyler Shuck, but I don't have any stacks, and I think my receiver room is pretty weird. So I'm just going to take Stephon Diggs. I think it's a very good pick, very solid decision. He's going too late, and I think he will pay off even more in full PPR. We'll go Stephon Diggs at 135. So the receiver room starting to come together. A.J. Brown, Egbuka, Godwin, and Romeo Doubs, and then Stephon Diggs. So whether it's Drake May, the quarterback you need, or Baker, we have both of them double stacked. And then the running back room with Genty, Scatabo, Bishal Tootin, Rashad White. Very fun team, really high upside, expecting a lot of receptions. Like possibly 50 plus catches from all four players. I could totally see that. Absolutely 50 plus catches from all four is in the cards. But Kraft, just the bet on talent, basically odd volume to project for him, but might be lower than I'm hoping for. Rodriguez had a Jones foot surgery, right? If true, not a fun injury and a surgery for a running back. Yeah, but it sounds like he's going to be fine for training camp. From what I've read, it sounds like he'll be okay and ready for week 1. Not ideal, but I think he's fallen down the board too far. In full PPR, though, I'm not as excited to take him. I don't think he's going to be catching many passes. That's not his skill set. Kraft is a good pick on terms of yak. He will just truck people. You would assume, but he might not be as effective as he was last year. Some of his numbers in that regard were pretty hard to repeat. He was like an outlier in terms of yak last season. But Aloha, Air Jeff, and W for Omega, 0. And Tracy still had 15 opportunities per game when he came back and Scat was still healthy. They're a team that feels so obviously committed to both running backs. Like, Tracy might still be an excellent pick where he goes, but I just don't see them having the weapons in the passing game to pivot off a shit ton of touches at running back. Jackson Dart is going to run around. Rushing quarterbacks always make their running backs more effective. It's just kind of the nature of the game. There's an extra beat, an extra moment that the defenders just wait to make a decision on who to pursue if they aren't quite sure where the ball's going to go. Sometimes it leads to bigger plays. So I'm a believer. You can fade him if you want to. I think you might regret it, but Scatabo comes with risk. He also comes with tremendous league-winning upside. Dragonheart Kraft had a 125-yard, 2-touchdown game last year, monster numbers for tight end. He was very dominant. Yeah, no doubt about it. A very dominant force. But should I just take Hunter Henry? I expect the most targets for him. Last year, only 60 for Strange, 69 for Gadsden. I think I'm just going to do it. I'll just take Hunter Henry, get the extra stack. And once again, I feel like my click went off the board while my timer was not even close to 0 seconds. I feel like I had like 3 seconds still on the clock there. But it's fine. We got the guy I wanted. Even if Scat is getting 20 touches per game at 4th round cost, Tracy should get enough work to pay off plus contingent. At this point, I'm coming around on Tracy, but for a while I was starting to think he was really too expensive. For one of the handcuffs, it's kind of tough. But there's also legitimate injury risk for Scatabo, so there could be some weeks where Tracy is just the outright starter as well. But at cost, I don't know if I'm sold on Slam Dunk. I think it's a good pick. It's not my favorite pick in that range. I like some of the tight ends there a little bit more. There's a lot of good picks in that range of the draft. Juwan Johnson, I think a pretty good pick. Could go with Debo as well. Yeah, I'll just take Juwan Johnson. Tight end feels pretty strong. I feel like I can stop with 2 quarterbacks with Drake May, Baker Mayfield, honestly. But I expect a lot of targets for Juwan Johnson. Around 90 for Hunter Henry. Maybe A.J. Brown cuts into that a little bit, but last 2 seasons, Hunter Henry has averaged 94 targets per year. And I just don't think his chemistry with Drake May is going to disappear. So a heavy commitment on Drake May and the Patriots on this one. I have no issue with that. No qualms, no concerns at all on the Patriots passing game. Zero says, Tracy's explosive. Great pass catcher, can consolidate if needed. Great pick, Omega. Who Hames LeQuint in half-point PPR probably isn't the move. Yeah, in half-point, fuck no. This is the PPR Frenchie, though, at least. It's on your mind, but round 18, not as exciting as round 20. But, LOL, this dude took Stafford and Kyler after selecting Lamar. Please let me get into the next one. I'd like some free rake. Lamar, Stafford, and Kyler. I mean, Kyler at 127, Stafford at 114. For the price, that's not bad at all. That's a pretty valuable price there on both of them. But Kurt Rambis, I have more Genty, Scat, Tootin teams than you'd believe. Never seen your streams before, but looking at this team, I'm thinking you're sharp as fuck. Sweet, Kurt Rambis. Thank you for popping in. Thanks for hitting that subscribe button, and glad we can impress you with our first draft. Kurt Rambis not afraid. Definitely Kurt Rambis is not afraid. But thank you for popping in, brother. Enjoyed your stream with Jiri, not just earlier today, but plenty of times. Very entertaining to watch you, Kurt Rambis. You've earned my respect over the course of the So You Think You Can Tout competition. Not going to lie. Very entertaining to watch. Ross Cred's sick team. So far, we're doing okay. I think the receiver room's a little bit odd, but it makes sense. We got the double stack in both Tampa and New England. Baker's in a contract season, so that feels like a pretty solid bet. And much better offensive line situation this year. A lot more healthy players overall in Tampa. So I think a bounce back is pretty much in order. I could still see the Bucs missing the playoffs this year like they did last season, but I think it's more so because of the defense shit in the bed rather than the offense not showing up. But Judy goes. I would have been interested in Judy right there. B-Rob is still available. He's not incapable of catching the ball, but maybe not the best pick. Damn. This is pretty gross. I don't really want Deshaun Stribling. It's not my favorite pick. It's only 5 spots past ADP, so not my favorite thing to do. But high contingent upside on Brian Robinson. The Falcons are also a very slender offense. The ball doesn't really go that many different places. Brian Robinson is the 4th offensive weapon on the Falcons being drafted. There are some teams where we're drafting 6 players in even like the top 100 picks. So for the 4th weapon in Atlanta to go off the board at 178, similar to Tyler Algier, there is some untapped potential there. Maybe won't score 8 touchdowns like Algier did, but I do believe Robinson gets some standalone value. Not much, but he could give you like 12 carries, 60 yards, and a touchdown on random occasions. And then obviously if Bijan does go down, that's an offense you want to bet on. A backfield I trust with Stefanski, but I probably need a receiver. Damn, this is pretty gross. I think I'll go Darnell Mooney. Mixing in a Giants receiver feels fine. There has been some recent talk on Mooney, but all 3 have the same argument. One of them has to step up while Neighbors is out. No question. One of them has to fucking step up. But once Neighbors is healthy, someone's still going to stay on the field as the number 2. At the moment, it's probably Darnell Mooney. It could be Fields. I don't think it's OBJ. Slayton is probably not good enough to make it. But, yo, what's up, Jiri? Thanks for popping in. Happy Sunday to you as well. Jiri, our boy, friend of the channel, good friend, has been on multiple times, and we'll probably have Jiri back very soon. You know what, Jiri? I'll hit you up. Let's try and plan something. Let's try and get another stream going, maybe this week. Would love to set it up once again. It's been a minute. I was on your stream most recently, but it has been a minute since the 10-hour live stream. Last time Jiri was here, he was faded as fuck. And speaking of that, I probably should be faded right now. It's probably about time. Let's do it. Yo, what's up, Mark Twain? How we doing? How concerned should I be as a Scatabo Dynasty owner with his shenanigans? I mean, with Scatabo, the thing about him in Dynasty, he's a much worse pick. But how long can you push it before people wise up to that? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I'd want Scatabo 5 years from now. I definitely don't think that's going to age well. He was already drafted kind of older into his career. Scatabo is not going to age like, fine wine or anything. He's not a Frank Gore. No fucking chance. He has a Frank Gore career. But can he flame out in, a blaze of glory? Absolutely. So if you're trying to win now, I would hold on to him. And if you feel a little bit worried at any point, then try to send him to a team that's trying to win now. I think it's worth holding on to for the first like 3-4 weeks. I think September is going to go really well for Scatabo. I think the people who are worried about him are going to look a little bit too risk averse. And then his value is going to be pretty high, sky high, especially while Neighbors is out. I think I would hold on to Scatabo at least through September because I think, the risk is later in the year he doesn't hold up. But like last year, if you had Scatabo in October and traded him, I'm sure it was looking like a pretty valuable return on investment right before he went down. So at the moment, there's still people who don't believe, who are very afraid of it. I think he will be healthy week 1, and I think he'll look pretty good in September. Will it fall off a cliff? Inevitably, but is it guaranteed to happen this year? I don't think so. So we'll see about Scatabo, but I would hold on to him. I wouldn't trade him just yet. I think I'd hold on to him at least through September. Back on the clock, though, volume-wise, grabbing someone like Pat Bryant, I think could be interesting because the Broncos just had the most pass attempts of any team last year. 612 throws for Bo Nix. Pat Bryant had like 10 fucking targets in the playoff game before he got hurt. So, while yes, Waddle entering the fold is problematic, Cortland Sutton is over the age of 30. We've seen Waddle miss a lot of time as well. He's been kind of injury prone. Pat Bryant is one injury away from really stepping up and already having, I think, the leader in the clubhouse in regards to the third wideout. He might have more targets this season than Evan Ingram. Even as number 3. It's possible. So, might need to get lucky with an injury there, but Pat Bryant has a lot of untapped potential and upside, especially in terms of volume. I like him in full PPR. But the question on this team is, do I give a fuck about QB3? Because receivers interesting. AJ Brown, Igbuka, Godwin, Dobbs, Diggs, Mooney, and Pat Bryant. I'm back on the clock. None of them feel compelling. So I might just queue up Brissett just for some points, but I might also just take Kayshon Boutte. Kayshon Boutte stacks up. Also has trade outs. I think Keenan Allen was already drafted. So we took Kayshon Boutte. Let's bet on him getting traded. That's the main argument, I think. But last year, how many touchdowns did he have? I believe it was like 7. Kayshon Boutte caught 6 touchdowns. 6 touchdowns, 551 yards. Round 18 is kind of a shit show in the first place. So someone that could gain some value. Like, what if he's traded to the Dolphins? A man can dream, but at least in New England right now, he might also just stay relevant. So that one was a weird pick. I might be overcommitted to the Drake May stack, but trusting him, who almost won MVP last season, I think is very wise. He is my true QB3 in my ranks, so I'm happy with it. Drake May and then all his pass catchers. No running backs. Perfectly fine move. Baker Mayfield with the 2 top receivers, Igbuka and Godwin, feels very legit. I don't give a shit about stacking him with Otton. I love McMillan, but didn't feel like it was totally necessary on this one. Running back, though, is fun on this team. Genty, Scatabo, Baishal Tootin, Rashad White, and Brian Robinson. The Rashad White click, I think, in full PPR is pretty clutch. Love his value and skill set in this format. I think he should be going around higher, if not more than that. But AJ Brown, big bet on his bounce back year. Igbuka and Godwin, We mentioned the receiver room. The tight end room is also pretty interesting. Kraft, Hunter Henry, and Juwan Johnson. Probably going to get like 90 targets for both Hunter Henry and Juwan. That would be my guess. Something like that. Juwan Johnson's not going anywhere. In the Saints offense, I think he's a smash. In full PPR. We also drafted with 0 in this lobby. Let me catch up with the chat just because I was really slow and want to make sure I get to everyone before we move on. But let me also drop a poll. What do you guys want? We got 62 people watching, 26 likes. Appreciate all of y'all for being here tonight. What is our next draft? Is it a $5 Frenchie, the PPR? We were just in that. That's the main vibe I kind of want to stick with tonight, if I had to be honest. But I will at least leave this one up to y'all. PPR or the puppy? Which one would you guys prefer? I'm dropping the poll right now. All right, let me catch up with the chat. I fell behind, as always. But Henry is a slam dunk and Austin Hooper is gone. Yes. Austin Hooper leaving is very underrated. I was pretty worried they would sign Njoku, but they never did that. And some people believe in their rookie. I do not. Hunter Henry is such a professional. He's someone who's aged like fine wine. Hunter Henry has aged like exquisite cheese. Like the finest Parmigiano Reggiano you could find. Hunter Henry is aging very gracefully. Scatabo is going to age like milk. Zero says I have 30% Tracy back-to-back 1,000-yard seasons, and I'm clearly a scat hater. That's fair. I think I may have underestimated Tracy at times this year, but I still really believe in Scatabo. When Tracy's lining up wide because Giants receivers covered his bear, will lead to Pikachu face all over Pika Pika. I'm not sure what the Pikachu face is, but I could see this totally happen. I could see Tyrone Tracy be their like top slot receiver if it's not Darnell Mooney. I could totally see that. Scatabo and Dynasty sell after his first good game. Never trust a guy like this long term. He's a short-term risk reward, not a long-term asset. Yeah, I think next year I might have a different tune on Scatabo, but only in year 2 of his career, I'm willing to bet on it. We got Zero saying, last year I had equal amounts of both when they were the same price. Gotcha. Were they going like back-to-back last year? I guess Scatabo was much cheaper last year. That's right. We'll see about that. Wilson, what's up? How we doing? Thanks for popping in. W for Omega, do we think B-Rob can have an Algier year or nay? I wouldn't expect 8 touchdowns, but is 5 or 6 impossible? No. Otherwise, I think a handful of games, like 6, maybe 8 of them, where he's like volume-wise pretty relevant, I think is possible. He started to look decent for the Niners last year down the stretch, but they might just never use him. It's also possible. But Stefanski will find some role for him. I believe in that. Hames has a bunch of Scatabo and also has 10% Tracy, so he believes in both of them. Their schedule is pretty fucking good. W likes Mooney. He's dirt cheap, and if he's healthy and reunited with Nagy, sparks and targets could fly. Yeah, that is the main upside argument for Mooney, not just the quagmire of receivers in New York, but also the fact that his best career season was in Chicago playing for Matt Nagy. He had 140 targets that season under Justin Fields, and maybe Matt Nagy will unlock him yet again. But I worry that Darnell Mooney is also just like washed with injuries. Last 2 seasons, he's barely been able to stay healthy. A-Rod says Fields is built like a fridge and can block. I bet he gets on the field earlier / more often than people think. I've started to take him a bit more. For a while, I started taking Slayton. I had a decent amount of Mooney for a little bit, and then I pivoted to Fields. I want to have like 5% of all 3 of them. I think being underweight is fine, but around 5% all 3. And if maybe there's one I'm overweight, it might be Mooney. But yeah, Jerry, definitely I'll be in contact. We'll get cooking soon, for sure. Yeah, if this happens, then you're going to want a bunch of both of them. And then obviously if Scat goes down, you're going to want a bunch of Tracy. But appreciate that, Anthony. Very kind. But W for Mego is very serious about Tracy lining up at receiver. Everyone seems to be convinced, at least in the chat, it's the consensus. It will happen, and we'll see. But Kurt Ramba says, I mean, Tracy was a receiver before he was running back famously. He was converted, absolutely. It's not like he's shy to it. It's just a question of will they actually choose to use him that way? They might be desperate enough to actually do it. The neighbor situation gives them no sure thing. There's not the most clarity at this point in time. If they actually felt certain about what they were going to do, they would not have signed Beckham, Juju, or Braxton Berrios. Wouldn't have happened if they actually felt confident. But Zero prefers converted linebackers like Algier. I didn't know that about Algier. I guess I didn't realize he used to be a linebacker. I don't focus too much on college. I look at it a little bit. I put it in. I record all the stats, and I have like a formula for churning out like how they performed on a per game basis. But sometimes I don't go the most in depth. But Algier, I remember looking kind of like an underrated prospect when he came out of BYU. I think he had a really good season right before he declared, if I'm not mistaken. I believe he went to BYU. Now I'm like, am I wrong on that? I got to double check. Algier College. Yep, BYU. Okay. At least I wasn't making that shit up. We were right on BYU, but Zero doesn't give a shit if Scat is backflipping. There are plenty of other reasons to be concerned. It'd be nice if he stopped backflipping. You know, there's not that much to gain from the backflip. But W for Scatabo is the Rashi Rice for Beischel Teutons. Rashi Rice of Beischel Teutons. I mean, he's not like committing felonies, you know. I guess I feel like Josh Jacobs might be more in that classification, but in terms of players that are just going way too high, I feel like Genty would be more so maybe in that category. Because Rashi Rice, when it's fully unlocked, is going, you know, top 10 at the position in the second round. But I guess I see your comp there. Zero doesn't. Okay, let me fucking speed through this as fast as I can. I love this chat hasn't dropped scat talk the whole time. I will train more, sensei. Good luck, W. Good luck. But Danimal likes the team. It's decent. There's possibly a hole at receiver, a little bit too consolidated in New England, but we're getting every point in New England and Tampa for the most part. It should be fine. I will say this. The people who got Scatabo in the 5th round of BBM are at a massive advantage compared to who's going to close it out when Scatabo's inevitably in the 3rd round. Like, once he's practicing in full all training camp, I think he will move up. But there's also a chance he gets a bad report and falls down the board. There's a lot of variables with Scatabo, for sure. But I think he's destined to rise, in my opinion. Mark Twain wants the PPR all day. It looks like the puppy is currently leading the poll. The poll is very close, 46-54. So vote in the poll for the PPR contest if that's your preference. I think I'm only going to do one today, though, in the non-PPR. I think we'll probably pivot back to PPR for draft number 3. So at the moment, it looks like we're doing Fast Puppy next, but just a few more minutes, and then we'll get to it. All right. At this point, I might just move on from the chat. We got a question, though. Brian Robinson is a nice number 2 handcuff, but imagining B-Rob backing up Bijan seems to be asking for a mix-up. I don't think there's going to be anyone that makes that major mistake like they did before. I doubt it. I think people are really going to pay attention when they're drafting. It's your own fault if you fuck it up. But Mr. Mufasa, appreciate it. Hit the like button. Take a poll. Let's do it. Let's take another rip. W, if he's Gollum this year, my precious is Genty. Sounds like Kurt Rambis. But Ross Crit, I think we've written off Theo, and it wouldn't surprise me if he had a big role still. That's a very fair point as well. Yeah, Theo could actually be, in theory, more valuable than even Isaiah Likely. I don't think his chemistry with Dart is going to go anywhere, but they just don't have any other pass catchers, so they might run both of them. It's definitely possible as well. They have a very odd stat sheet in terms of pass catchers this season. It's like there's no telling what it's going to look like by the end of it. You know, with Neighbors not having anything guaranteed, you could tell me that Theo Johnson is the second leading receiver and Tyrone Tracy is number 3, and I wouldn't find that unimaginable. It's possible. But the idea that Pacheco was in the Montgomery role is flawed. I would agree with that. They do not trust him like they did Monty, nor is he anywhere near the level of player. He has definitely fallen off since the leg injuries. He's not been the same. He'll be interesting at times, but he's just going to luck into the end zone on occasion. That's really the only argument for me on why to draft Pacheco. But if Gibbs goes down, I could see them maybe trade for James Conner, obviously. Maybe bring in Najee Harris. Maybe even trade for someone like Caleb Johnson before they give Pacheco 25 touches. But will Pacheco even be active on game days? I think so in September. We'll see about later on in the year. If Gibbs misses time, I think he gets easy goal line touchdowns. Maybe a few. I don't think he's going to be alone in that backfield if Gibbs actually misses time. I think they'd bring someone in. Like Kareem Hunt kept him off the field. That's not a good sign. Maybe Pacheco has a major bounce back, but that's not a good sign. Kurt says got scatting around 5 today after that video came out. He's going to fall for a good week. I'll scoop him up for sure every time. But if Gibbs misses time, the offense gets much worse. AJ's very underrated. Yeah, the offense would basically look like last year's Cardinals. 45 passes a game if Gibbs goes down. Pacheco might be a little bit more valuable than Michael Carter, but not by much. It's only because the Lions have a good O-line. I don't think he'll be like dropping 15 every week. And like I said, I think they'd probably trade for someone or bring someone else in. Probably James Conner. But Bigsby, I think, is more talented than Pacheco. Bigsby, I think, has more to prove than Pacheco in a contract season. And I think the Eagles O-line is one I would trust all day. But the Lions O-line will elevate Pacheco a little bit. He won't be worthless, but it's not the best pick. At cost, I think I'd much rather have Bigsby. I draft him way more than Pacheco. But workhorse Isaiah Pacheco sounds destined to fail. But you still don't want to have 0% of the Lions RB2 at the end of the day. I'm not going to be overweight Pacheco, but you got to have some of them. But all right, lastly, we'll take a look at Zero's team. I finally caught up with the chat, and Zero is a member of the Blunt Rotation, so paid for the team review. Let's take a look. He did take Allen at 40. That's pretty fair. I passed, but Allen at 40 is a very good pick. Maybe I should have taken Allen myself. I'm fine with how it turned out. I don't regret on passing on Allen, but Bo Nix paired with him feels like one of the better combos. I see Josh Allen with Jordan Love very often. I see him with Cam Ward very often. I see him with Bryce Young very often. Someone like Bo Nix is a great value and like still top 10 capable quarterback any week. So one of the better values to pair him with, I would say that's pretty sweet. But Hampton, Chuba, RJ Harvey, Chuba 81, not that exciting, but Harvey could catch a bunch of passes possibly, so that's a decent pick. Tyrone Tracy, we were hyping up all draft long in the chat, so everyone's on board. Dylan Sampson, excellent in full PPR. Braylon Allen, kind of worthless to me, but should see some volume in the Jets backfield. It's fine, but I honestly never take Braylon Allen. He's not a pick I like to make. But Jefferson and Garrett Wilson, a lot of talent there. DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison. Your fixation with Harrison will always perplex me. It's funny. The Underdog is not putting Junior there. Is he trying to... Is the website trying to boost Marvin Harrison's aura by not listing Junior? This is not the true Marvin Harrison. It's Marvin Harrison Jr. It's just not the same experience. And if it is the same experience as his dad took until year 4 to be an all-pro. His dad took a minute to actually look elite. Only until he got Peyton Manning in year 4 did his dad pay off. But Junior, not the best pick in round 6, in my opinion, but probably a better selection in full PPR than half. We got Xavier Worthy, Trey Tucker, and Jerry Jeudy. Pretty solid, though, overall at the position. The Harrison pick, not my favorite, but in context, it's not anything to be worried about. He can drop 15 randomly pretty easily, given the volume. But touchdowns I always worry about in Arizona. Kincaid, Barner, and Michael Mayer. Interesting. Wouldn't have expected that. Not my favorite pick, but a very up for grabs target share in Vegas. And maybe he's actually good enough to stay on the field, but more so contingent value if Bowers goes down. So basically just the last 2 picks, Braylon Allen and Michael Mayer, don't really make much sense to me, but very nitpicking. Everything else checks out. As always, Zero builds a pretty solid team. The Chuba Hubbard pick, very mid, but quarterback is good. The Kincaid stack is even better. And then receiver feels pretty solid. Running back overall has enough catches to work out. All right, let's do it. The poll has spoken. Is actually shifted in favor of full PPR. It's actually 50-50 right now, to be exact. So actually, the poll is up for grabs. If anyone watching wants to decide what our next draft is, drop a vote. We have 38 votes. The next vote will decide it. Do you want the full PPR or puppy? We are deadlocked at 38 votes, 19-19. I just need one vote. It's not coming in. If I have to decide, I'll go full PPR, but really? How many people are watching? Okay, there it is. Vote number 39 just came in for full PPR. Appreciate it. The audience has spoken. The PPR Frenchie is our next draft. If you're ready, we are hopping in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Vámonos, muchachos. Insta-fill. What pick are we going to get? I'm hopeful it's not on the back end of the board. If anything, pick 11 is a lot less valuable in the full PPR format. I would say it's not as exciting to go running back in the full PPR contest. Now, there are some running backs there that are still worth it, but if anything, I'd rather have pick 2. I think 0 gets the best pick on the board. Bijan in full PPR, I think, is perfect. Like, literally might catch 100 receptions this year. Last year had over 80. And is also going to be the most, like, consistent option. We'll see. But Young Mulat, not in love with that backfield, my dude. 0, but a team with Josh can never be counted out. Yeah, the Allen pick always comes at a price. It always kind of puts you at a little bit of a disadvantage just because you have to spend a lot compared to the position that's a little expensive. But in the 4th round, once we hit pick 40, I'm fine with it. But I still did take Scatabo above him. I'm still not dying to take Allen, even in the 4th. But 0, a lot of running back hungry folks in the pod, Young Moolah. Yeah, there were some running back expenses being made there. But full PPR voted Wilson. That's what he got. Maybe he was the 39th vote. But FK Coolers, I was the undecided voter like Ken Bone. Anthony's in the overflow. How did it feel to have so much power, Coolers? The fate of... How many people are watching? 58 people watching. The fate of 58 people's entertainment rested in your hands. But the rug pull... Was that a rug pull? I don't think so. We have some members watching that are in this draft, so I wouldn't say that's a rug pull. We have Genty again. Yep. In full PPR, I'm definitely Genty here. 55 catches last season. I expect that to go up. Better offense overall. Better O-line, better coaching, far better coaching, better quarterback play all around. We'll do that. And then we'll also tack on Chase Brown. Had 69 catches last year. Nice. Nice. Genty, Chase Brown. Those are the two with Hampton that I think are the most valuable around this turn. James Cook, very legit. Might be used in the passing game a little bit more this season, but not exactly his calling card. And then Saquon is also not the most involved receiver. Maybe it changes because A.J. Brown left the offense. Saquon's not a bad pick, but I do expect Chase Brown to have the advantage in that regard. So we'll see. But I counted hella fast. Maybe I counted a little bit fast. Perhaps that's correct. But there are several people in this lobby with us. We got Batwheat in this lobby. He pulled the 101. Zero pulled the 102. We got Jackson Duffy in here as well. He's watching. He pulled the 104. Game Tight is watching. We got KW Hill in this one as well. But there are a few other names that maybe I don't recognize. So good luck in the overflow. Looks like it's popping, says Striker. There's always that element of how many of y'all will be drafting with me or not. But you felt dangerous with all that power. But Batwheat did take Bijan at the 101. Zero ended up with Gibbs at the 102. I respect it. I think at full PPR, I think I'd actually rather have Bijan, to be honest with you. Gibbs will definitely catch a lot of passes. Not that he can't, but I think I actually still prefer Bijan. Because there's way more targets going elsewhere in Detroit. And with the mix-up in play caller, I could see Gibbs not be locked into 10 receptions every week. You know, there's going to be a few games where Gibbs just goes nuclear in the receiving department. But I don't know if on a week-to-week basis, Bijan is going to be like consistently behind him. If anything, I think Bijan will average like 8 targets a week, basically. Like, I could totally see that. I think it's going to be more than last season. I really do. But maybe Kevin Stefanski has different things in mind. You can't go wrong with Bijan or Gibbs, though. It's really not a big deal. But the Bijan snipe was wild. I don't think it's crazy. I think in full PPR, it's fine. They're both excellent. Pick one and pick two. You can't go wrong. But is number 10 on auto draft? I do not know. Maybe you're talking about your lobby. Not sure. But is KW Hill in the overflow? If so, I should have stayed in. I'm going to go on a little tangent here. I just have to vent about something because it's been bothering me so much. My ears have been plugged the last like 24 hours. My hearing's been off. I think I need to go get it fucking checked out or something. But like, my hearing has been fucking so clogged the last day. It's been pretty crazy. But I'll go Lad here. I'll take him. Just something that is fucking... It's giving me a headache at this point. My ears are basically ringing. But it's my problem. None of yours. Anyways, back on the clock. I won't mention again, but you know what? We passed on Josh Allen the last time. I really like Waddle, but it is pretty crowded over there. I don't have many Josh Allen teams, but might as well take him on occasion. Let's try it. I didn't hate the way that Zero's team looked. We'll mix in Josh Allen, but I'm probably not expecting to get Justin Herbert on this team. Lad has a bye in week 7, so if I drafted Herbert for the stack, we'd have a double week 7 bye. Herbert, unfortunately, is not the player I really think you can afford to draft with Allen because it's a lot of money spent. And maybe it's not the end of the world if you get him in the 8th round, but doesn't happen anymore. If anything, Herbert at 83 doesn't even happen anymore. And maybe it's not even an option. But I think you are compelled to take a third quarterback if you start off Allen and Jaden Daniels, Allen and Trevor Lawrence, Allen and Justin Herbert all have that week 7 bye. And the ADPs line up pretty well most of the time. So it's kind of annoying because it feels like a very strong thing to do. And then you pay kind of the price of a week 7 bagel at QB. But GB, I'm in the overflow and got pick 11 as well. Let me know if you went with Josh Allen. It's been such a long time since I've taken Allen on the stream. Can we get away with it today? Because how bad of a pick really is it now that it's like consistently in the 4th round? It's started to be pretty common where he falls into the 4th now. So now it's kind of a different equation. There's no way he makes it back to you in the 5th, but to take him in the 3rd, it's reasonable to assume he would make it back to you in the 4th. So that's where it was never like the best pick. And while it's still expensive, he's undoubtedly the top option. But it is still expensive. We will find out. This draft will be like the test. Do I regret the Josh Allen in the 4th? But W for Omega, I remember McBride being picked 12 in pre-draft. That was fucking crazy. I never took him there. I'm still not taking him. So that was crazy. In full PPR, I will say he's a little bit more exciting. I do think the value is more interesting in full PPR. Batwheat did take him at the 2-3 turn. That might still be too high for me, but it's a lot more justified. I'll say that in full PPR. But what's up, Hartman? Good to see you. Welcome in. And if anyone hasn't checked out Hartman's channel, follow Hartman FF here on YouTube. Going live very often. I believe you're like at least 5 days a week at this point, Hartman. It's if not every day. I've seen you a lot in the afternoon. Love to see it. Always sharp takes coming out of Hartman's channel. Very good teams drafted by our boy Hartman. Check him out if you haven't done so. But Cooler saying a walk-in place like urgent care can fix the ears super easy. I'll give that a try. You know what, Coolers? I might give that a try. Not sure I'm going to do it on camera, but I did get this this like earwax removal kit. It's got to be the earwax. It's really the only explanation for it. But all right, back on the clock. This team kind of needs receivers, but Christian Watson's available, and kind of similar to our Tucker Kraft argument on the last one, you would assume the volume probably goes up. The volume probably increases with no Romeo Doubs or Dontavian Wicks, especially Dobbs. Dobbs at times was like a target hog. If you look at Christian Watson's game log, he's a bit more reliant on touchdowns and big plays, though. There's a lot of weeks where he maxes out at like 5 catches. It could be a little better, but we will go Tyler Warren here, getting the elite onesies with Allen and Tyler Warren. I think in this contest especially, I really trust Tyler Warren. Last year, 112 targets with no Pittman. I think best case scenario, Tyler Warren has like 150 targets. That's probably asking for a little bit too much, but it will absolutely go up, I think, over 130. And I think 140 is absolutely in the cards if he stays healthy. I'm not quite sure what to make of Daniel Jones staying healthy. That's not the safest bet, but last year with Daniel Jones, he was very effective. And in full PPR, the volume headed for Tyler Warren is kind of hard to replicate. There's not that many receivers, let alone tight ends, that I think you can bank on 100-plus targets the rest of the way. There's definitely some receivers, but tight ends, there's a very short handful of them. It's not a laundry list of options at that position. So Tyler Warren, I think an excellent pick in round 6 in full PPR. Zero says, if Herbert is such a smash, should be able to make up 1-0 at quarterback. That's the one position I don't want to do it. I'll say that. If I am going to do it, I want to be spending a little bit less to get a 0 But round 4 and round 7 is a little bit much to lock in a 0. Because that's the one position where I think it can actually matter. Because I think we got into this discussion previously, 0, where the bye weeks shouldn't be like the be-all, end-all, but they are somewhat relevant in key spots, something to consider. And I think draft capital is very important in that equation. And while, yes, I think your side of the argument is valid, I have a team with Allen and Herbert, and it didn't feel good. Maybe I should do it more often. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Maybe it really doesn't matter at all. But you're going to get a lot of weeks where one of these two guys is on your bench in the first place. So to have a bench player in the top 7 rounds, not ideal. And one that doesn't even cover the bye week, that kind of sucks. So I think it's arguably something you can get away with, but I think I'd rather avoid it if I can. But can't you take a quarterback at one? Can't you take a 0 at quarterback 1 week? It's a risky proposition, but I don't think it's as bad as people say. You could be on the other side of the aisle. I think there are some players where it really doesn't matter to me. If you told me I wait until like Bo Nix and Baker, let's say I take Bo Nix in the 10th round because he falls and Baker falls back again. I think that's a different proposition than getting stuck with a 0 when you spend so much more on it. Because then you've spent a lot less to where you're probably already taking a third quarterback. You know what I mean? But I choose Baker and Bo Nix specifically because they both have a week 10 bye. The week 7 bye is really annoying. They loaded up week 7 with good quarterbacks. So I'm going to let the team at 8 decide my fate. First, I'm going to go with a receiver. And I think I'm actually going to go Michael Pittman, to be honest with you. I do like Rico Dowdle, though, a lot as well. But I'll take Michael Pittman. I expect a lot of volume for him. One of the few players, I think, remaining that will go over 100 targets. There's not a ton of them. And if anything, I should be fading quarterback. So, like the rest of this lobby, Dak Prescott's still on the board at 86. Herbert is a good pick. But as someone with 30% Justin Herbert just a few weeks ago, I've found reasons to pass more recently. And I think structurally it's not the best pick I could possibly make. I love Ricky Pearsall, but I'll go Rico Dowdle first. I'll grab my RB3. Because I think Rico could fill in the Kenneth Gainwell role. Last season we saw Aaron Rodgers check it down like crazy. And by getting Michael Pittman and Rico Dowdle, I totally justify the Rodgers selection. And that's the type of price I'm really trying to spend with a Josh Allen if I'm really committing to him. I just don't like spending that much at quarterback myself. So on a rare Josh Allen team, I'm going to try and just convince myself that he is that good. You can wait till the very end and draft someone like Rodgers and get away with it. But 0 says, if Allen or Herbert can't make up 20-25 points over 13 weeks, probably one or both of them are bad picks. And that, I think, is the point. Allen still feels like kind of a bad pick. Allen, compared to Jaden Daniels more than 2 rounds later, still kind of feels like a bad pick. So if I felt better about Allen, then maybe I wouldn't care as much. But it already feels a little bit gross to take Allen this high. And that's where to get stuck with a bagel on top of it is pretty annoying. But if you want to do it, go for it. If you want to do it, don't let me prevent you from doing it. It's totally fine. On that team, I took Allen and Herbert with Goofy Chicken. I was on his stream when I did it. I also paired up Aaron Rodgers. We drafted 3. And I will say, Allen and just trusting him with Rodgers and just stopping at those 2, I think feels better. It allows the rest of your team to be pretty good compared to Allen, Herbert, and Rodgers. That's a little bit too many zeros on the bench at quarterback every week. With a round 4 capital, it makes me not like it, but you can feel differently. There's nothing wrong with the disagreement. If anything, I like when the chat is happy to disagree. It allows me to like rethink things, but I do think Herbert could be the MVP. That would make Allen such a worse pick, though. Could Tyler Warren have more targets than McBride this year? I think it's possible. I wouldn't say it's a guarantee. I wouldn't put a lot of money down on it, but it's totally possible, especially if McBride's targets share comes down with a healthy Marvin Harrison and maybe Michael Wilson gaining more trust. It's possible that McBride does lose some volume, but Warren should be pretty locked in to like 130 plus. And if he does get close to 150, then it's definitely possible. It's in the cards. But Zero says he will outright outscore McBride. The touchdowns could totally be in his favor by like 9-3, possibly. Like you could get triple the touchdowns from Tyler Warren than Trey McBride. I could totally see that. But it's refreshing to see such a normal draft board. This one is not that crazy. There's not that many picks that feel off base anywhere. Mahomes did go early in this one. That was interesting. I could go Brooks here. I do like Brooks. Receivers fallen off quite a bit. Brooks, I think, will mix in the first few weeks mostly as the receiving back, and I think that's the role that, even if he doesn't fully overtake Chuba, is not really going to dissipate and go away from him over the course of the season. But here, my receiver room is pretty thin. Getting both Packers is kind of a choice as well, but fuck it. Ultimately, I trust Golden a little bit more than the rest of them. I think his upside is really through the roof, and by getting both him and Watson, it's kind of just a fade against Jaden Reed, a player that missed like 10 fucking games last year. Jaden Reed was never healthy after week 2. Jaden Reed also took way longer to recover last season than expected. He could go down again. He's had multiple different types of injuries, like a foot injury, a collarbone injury, I think a soft tissue injury at one point. And it sounds like Golden is going to run more in 2 receiver sets than Jaden Reed. So Golden has massive breakout potential. I always kind of go back to this. I trust the Packers scouting department, especially at wide receiver. They always draft really well at that position. And they definitely showed you they're willing to make the bet on his development by moving off of Dobbs and Wicks in free agency. So giving him a year, I think in general is a reasonable decision for rookie receivers that bust, but especially in Green Bay, I don't want to overreact to something like that. Look at Devontae Adams. Like I've said before, look at Devontae Adams' rookie season and tell me you envisioned the Hall of Fame career after just 1 year from Adams. It definitely wasn't expected. But they took Golden around 1. He might just have never been worth that draft capital. It's also possible they just fucked up. But it's fair to avoid it most of the time, but do it 20-40% of the time. Yeah, to have some teams with it, yeah, go for it. I already have at least one, so I guess that's where I'm less inclined to do it. But did Zero draft a bunch of Bears on this one? Oh, yeah, he did. He went Burden, Loveland, and Caleb. That is interesting. Zero does not like Caleb at all. But I would agree with that statement. Yeah, to never have it, there's some risk tolerance you got to be willing to have, especially at a higher volume. But if you're only going to be drafting like, you know, 25 teams zero, unlike you, some people don't draft as much as you do zero. But let's say you're only drafting like 100, 150 teams. Maybe only like 50, you know. Maybe you're not a true sicko. If you want to avoid the double week 7 at an expensive cost, I think that's fine. But in full PPR, zero prefers the Bears. Interesting. I guess it's very consolidated target share. I guess it kind of checks out, but I wouldn't have guessed. Goddard, always a smash pick. I really wanted Kincaid on this team, but he wasn't there. And the fallout from Goddard to the remaining tight ends, I think, is massive. So I'll go with Goddard. Our running back room is pretty dope. If anything, I could even stop at 4 if I wanted, but I don't trust Brooks that much. I still think Brooks will be the more valuable Carolina Panther, but I don't trust him enough to just stop at 4. But Genty, Chase Brown, Rico Dowdle, Jonathan Brooks in full PPR. That's a very good receiving room, running back room. Rico Dowdle, back-to-back seasons, has 39 catches, and I believe that was like almost as much as Jaylen Warren. They were very similar, if not identical. Jaylen Warren had 40 catches the year prior, 38. So Jaylen Warren is kind of overhyped a little bit in the receiving department. Last year, we had Kenneth Gainwell catch over 70 receptions alongside Jaylen Warren. So Rico Dowdle can definitely steal his thunder in that department. Absolutely. Rico Dowdle could be huge value in full PPR. But Blunt is going to end up with his favorite Josh Allen, Jordan Love team. No, we pushed it today. It was kind of set up, but yeah, it would have been pretty common. The whole plan is for Aaron Rodgers. I'm going to say it right now. If I get sniped, I get sniped. It is what it is. The DK Metcalf drafter is 0. I'm not sure if he's going to take him at 146. I would doubt it. Otherwise, there's the Jaylen Warren drafter who just took Jordan Love, Tyler Shuck, and Sam Darnold. So I would guess I still get Rodgers on this team unless someone just really wants to snipe me. Just for shits and giggles. But I still have Josh Allen. I'm really not worried about it at all. Young Mulas has jumped into Fast Puppy instead. Picks 1 through 7, all non-badges. I love nighttime drafts, especially on the weekend, right? The weekend is always fun. There's always a lot more volume, I think, for more casual people that are just starting out their best ball teams. The weekend, I think, is a very high variance time to be drafting. And the higher variance, the higher upside. Definitely, I think, late night weekends is where it's at. But Ross Cred, first time watcher, have you won any tournaments? No, can't say I've won any tournaments. I had 2 teams in the final last year, but none of them performed well enough to brag about. The highest scoring one finished 150 in a 320 person pod in the final. So we made a couple finals teams. In terms of underdog on my career, I'm usually breaking even. The pick'ems is usually what puts me over the top. Last year in best ball, I lost about 25-30% of my buy-ins. Around 30%. I think it was like 28%. But I made up for it with my pick'ems. There, I was in the green. So, can't brag. I've won a contest, but doing a lot of prep for our fantasy season with the channel. That's mainly what I'm here for, but I think I will just take Juwan Johnson, grab that third tight end with Rodgers as the plan. If I get sniped here, I get sniped. It is what it is. but I don't expect it. I don't think I'm actually going to go Flournoy. I'm not really sure why I queued him up, to be honest. Glad I didn't take him. I'm not really going to fuck around. I'm just going to take Rodgers here. I think I just want him on the team. I got the double stack with Pittman and Rico. So as long as I don't get sniped, I think that's just the move. There's a lot of similar picks, but I think just locking up quarterback here instead of like getting sniped randomly by someone unstacked in the next round, I think is fine. The team I think is built very clearly for Aaron Rodgers. So I'm just going to take him at 158. This is ultimately where I rank him. I have him in the 150s. I think he's always been worth the 150s type of pick. And essentially, he's usually going in the 15th round right now. But I see him in the 14th plenty of times. Our friend Meg Schaup absolutely would reach on him higher than that. So I think it's fine. I think it fits the team. It may not be the most unique pairing to see with Josh Allen, but it's definitely double stacked and justified. And I believe Rodgers will play better this year. With Mike McCarthy and Michael Pittman, I think the Steelers' offense can look much better without Arthur Smith. Moving on from Mike Tomlin. The Steelers are an interesting wild card. A lot of variables with them. We'll see what happens, but I think they will be more explosive on offense. In the passing game, I think they look better. But W for Omega, I remember reading an article that explained how much better a one quarterback team with Allen was than all but lied the top 20% of teams and advanced at a higher rate than expected. That is interesting. To just take Allen and stop is pretty interesting. But when I take Allen, it feels too expensive. I like to take someone I think is going too inexpensive. I like to either get a very good deal, someone that fell dramatically, or take one of the last ranked quarterbacks that I think is mispriced. And Rodgers is one of the last guys I think you can talk yourself into. Other than maybe Tua. Maybe Tua stays the guy all year, but otherwise nobody else I think can play all 17 weeks. Guaranteed. Barring some wrist injury like last year. But our boy Chris, the Candyman, the Fantasy Football Garage is in the house. What's up, brother? Nice to see you. Thanks for popping in. If anyone hasn't checked out the FF Garage, love that channel. Great content over there. And looks like we're going to be league mates, brother. I joined the league that will be announced very soon. But speaking of which, the FF Nerd is going to be the commissioner of that league. And looks like Candyman, last I heard, was part of it. So looking forward to that a lot. And shout out the FF Nerd, our boy Ruben, putting together an exciting channel this year. And I look forward to being a participant in that league this season. I could go Jeremy Bernard, really triple down, but not sure I'm dying to do it. If anything, I'm actually going to go Ray Davis first. Stacks up with Josh Allen. Ty Johnson is also kind of compelling in that department, but Ray Davis, we're really just betting on him and the contingent upside. So I'll just lock him up before it's over. Branch goes. Stribling is available. This is a pretty gross section of the draft. I could, in theory, go with Mendoza if I really wanted to, but I think I'll just take the discount on Stribling. I don't take him too often, but receiver kind of feels like the more wise direction to go in. And there is just a world where he actually is like way more involved than I think and contributing behind Ricky Pearsall at a much higher rate. The Niners passing game is always valuable. Mike Evans, I think, will miss time. Pearsall has had some injury concerns. Kittle's banged up already. McCaffrey can go down at any moment. There's going to be a lot of targets up for grabs spread around in San Francisco this year. So Stribling may not have the rookie breakout that some are hoping for, but at 182, I could see some weeks where injuries lead to him getting like 11 targets randomly. And for that reason, a full round past ADP, I'll mix him in, but I don't feel great about it. It's not my favorite pick in general. It's fine, but mainly the Niners, the San Francisco tag on him is the main reason why it's compelling. The Niners have a high upside offense, no doubt. Um, Zero draft 50 teams before breakfast. Yeah, Zero has some of the highest volume of probably anyone watching. But Zero just fighting Caleb to get more for himself. Possibly, but I can understand having like a much different approach on a team in this format. And at least the Bears pass catchers probably get higher volume than some other offenses just because of how few names there actually are there. But Caleb in the 80s, always fun. But I don't like multi-tabling. I think it's frustrating, especially when I'm live streaming. I hate doing it. But if you're watching best ball streams in January through July, the odds of you being a sicko is pretty high. Sadly, I think in July it's a little different. I think now that the World Cup is over, I think it's a little bit different equation. The market, I think, will rapidly increase, especially in August. But we're entering the last 10 days of July. It's about to be Leo season. I think July counts in terms of the calendar, where it's not just exclusively sickos. January, absolutely. January through May, I would say so. But once we hit June, it starts to be a little bit different. July, I think, is a much different beast. Much closer to August territory. All right, back on the clock. All gross picks. Keon Coleman, though, I kind of never take. But in all honesty, I think I'd rather draft Skylar Bell, to be honest. So I'll take Skylar Bell over Keon Coleman. I don't believe in Keon Coleman. The rookie has some compelling aspects to it. But Jalen Knoll, I think, could see a lot of volume. However, Keenan is still available. I think he's even more valuable in full PPR. 100% in full PPR. I think Keenan will play. I'll take him in round 18. A little bit more with conviction in full PPR. Last year, 122 targets in the Chargers system, 81 catches. 2 years ago, 121 targets, 70 catches with the Chicago Bears. If he plays, he's getting 100-plus targets probably. He's going to be annoying as fuck for anyone that drafts Josh Downs. If he goes to the Colts, it's going to suck. But the Colts might sign Debo. That'd be less of a concern, but still annoying. Keenan would really crater and nuke anyone's value if he's a teammate of theirs. It's going to be just like Ladd McConkey last season. Almost worthless compared to the cost you expected. But I think if the contest is about to fill, I'll multi-table, but in general, I hate to do it. It's not what I want to do. But all day asking, what up, bro? What do you think? Jalen Warren is the most drafted at 46%. Yo, I don't love it. 46% on a player going in the top 100. That is well above my threshold. Right now, my highest drafted player is Tank Bigsby, and I have him at like 33%. Not more than 30 is my liking on that. But top 100, I'm going to cap it at 25% personally, and I actually think Rico Dowdle is more valuable than Jalen Warren, straight up. So I don't love it. I think Warren goes a little too high. If you told me you had 40% Justin Herbert in round 7, I'd be right there with you. I have about 30% Justin Herbert. So that is the player I want to draft the most in round 7. I can understand hating the rest of round 7, but Jalen Warren at 46% is not my favorite thing to hear. If I'm wrong on Rico Dowdle, though, I'm going to be pretty upset. So good luck. I have rooted against it. I have about 18% Rico Dowdle. I think, underweight on Jalen Warren. But this stream and chats vibe has made my night. Cheers. Appreciate that, bro. Appreciate that. If anything, we're going to increase the vibes. Again, we have yet to drop the music, but for the rest of the stream, we will have the background music on top of it. But Zero says he loves the Chicago Bears. Painting my nails if I win BBM with the Bears stack. Yeah, it feels appropriate. If that's what's winning you $2 million, you might as well commit. But the Fed's coming in here asking too many questions. Who's a Fed, young Moolah? Who's a Fed? Snitch. Now you got to snitch. But crab people. LOL, like crab talk. What the fuck are you saying? What the fuck is... I have no idea what you're talking about. Rodgers ahead of ADP, usually still the best pick on the board. I know, he still hasn't risen high enough for it to not be worth it. But let's go, says Chris. Yep, Hartman would be a Rodgers stan. On this team, Rodgers is fine, but in general, I'm not excited. That's fine, Fantasy Garage. You don't have to love him. I liked him a lot more when he was pick 200, pick 190, pick 180. I chased him up the board to the 170s. And now, even though I still think he's worth 150, I have been slow in my roll on Rodgers. I had him at 19% in the pre-draft when he was going at like 190. But on this team, it makes sense. But exciting for the league. Looks like Hartman, I think, is also in the league, as well as Huhames. That's what I've been told. But we'll get the full list soon. Very excited for that to be announced. But Zero says that's why you pass on Herbert. For Rodgers outscores him. Yeah, that's basically what this team is saying. But I have so much Herbert already. That's kind of why I don't take him as much these days. But very excited for the league. Going to be a great one. Bo4824 says, have you ever played Best Ball Dynasty? If so, do you have any strategies? I have not, but I will say I'd be trying to win now. I don't feel like waiting 2-3 years to build a super team is my preferred strategy. I'd rather just build now and just draft very good rookies over the years to keep myself viable. I want to go for it this season, and then who knows, maybe quit the league after I win a few. It feels like that's what people do. If they don't care about Dynasty, they're just trying to win now and then quit after they win. But I probably wouldn't do that. I've just never played Dynasty. I feel like there'd be a lot of people that would do that, though. Yeah, good question, W for Omega. How many passing touchdowns do we think Rodgers throws for this year? Wasn't it like 27 last season? Rodgers last year threw for 24. The year before that, 28. And then 3 years ago, 26. Before he got traded to the Jets, it was only 26. I would imagine he can hit 30, maybe 32. But he's probably not throwing for more than that. Probably 27, 29 is a more reasonable bet. Something like that. But the Garage is my biggest advice for Best Ball Dynasty is invest heavily in receiver. Yeah, they last a lot longer. Running back is definitely easier to draft coming in with the rookies. But appreciate that, Omega. Oh, wait. No, I thought this said like number 21. I misread that. Trent saying got to get in these drafts because when the training camp season buzz starts, the ADP going to change. Yeah, August is going to have a lot of moving parts, so you want to try and assume you know what will happen and get that value ahead of time. But if anything, drafting in May and June may have been the better values to do that with. But still, we have some time. We're going to be drafting every day, basically, in the first place. But Travis Hunter is an interesting bet as well. Travis Hunter, I get. Then Ray Davis. He did miss a game. Yeah, he also missed a game. So lock in 30 plus. If he stays healthy, I could totally see that. But Trent is in on Dowdle as well. Dowdle feels like a very safe bet. Last 2 seasons, like identical numbers. He's giving you 1,000 rushing yards and about 40 catches. Probably like 7+ touchdowns once again. But the FF Nerd is high on Warren, which means he'll probably do awful knowing his luck. So at least I'm on the opposite side. But it's a South Park reference, the crab people. I guess I just don't recall. I feel like that's like early South Park. But the weed tea kicking in. Yeah, we know Omega drinks some weed tea. But yeah, ancient South Park poll. When I was young, I was not allowed to watch South Park. So there's some references from like, especially the 90s and early 2000s that I probably haven't gone back and watched all of those episodes. Back when I was a teenager, I would watch South Park like religiously. But when I was, in the single-digit age bracket, I was not allowed to watch South Park. I sneaked the movie when I was at my babysitter's house once. But That was like the only South Park I was ever able to watch before the age of like 11, when like inevitably you just are able to watch whatever you want. But Warren has burned me so many times. Warren is usually overhyped. Usually doesn't score as many touchdowns as people want, but old South Park was pretty legit. What I do remember from that era is pretty awesome. Despite the animation looking wonky, it's pretty fucking good. But my references are mainly from the 90s and 2000s. I like to show my age, like a Dennis Miller knockoff, hack comedian. That's like the Gore Vidal of the Kamani Vidals. You get me? Honestly, there was a lot of references there. I still did understand. I know who Dennis Miller is. Maybe not my favorite comedian, but Gore and Kimani Vidal. Nice combo there. Nice alliteration. Brother from another mother. If anything, maybe Gore Vidal is Kimani's godfather, something like that. But flour or wax? I'm flour all day. I can't handle the wax. A little too coughing prone for me. I don't enjoy it as much. It goes straight to the noggin, a little too strong. I'm flour all day, not wax. But after surgery, maybe you need the strong stuff after surgery. But all right, Dowdle season though. I would agree. I think it is Dowdle season. The Mike McCarthy reunion tour should be fun. All right. We have a few members in this one. Let me recap my team real quick, though. Just for the audio listeners, we had Josh Allen and Aaron Rodgers. Totally fine with that. Ashton Genty, Chase Brown in full PPR feels fantastic. Rico Dowdle kind of underrated in full PPR. Could be even better, especially if he fills in for Kenny Gainwell. Jonathan Brooks, I think, will be a major pass catcher at the very least in Carolina, so could be the RB1. Love the running back room. In this one, we also took Ray Davis for the Josh Allen correlation. I have Ladd McConkey on this one, expecting high volume as their number one option. In Mike McDaniel's offense, there's usually only two receivers that are even relevant. But Christian Watson should be good, maybe less valuable in full PPR, but still should be excellent when healthy. Michael Pittman, much more valuable in full PPR. I am not afraid to pull him up. We took Matthew Golden kind of out of desperation. Stephon Diggs should be valuable, especially if he lands in Washington. Dejon Stribling, Skylar Bell for the stack. And then Keenan Allen, valuable if he signs, if he doesn't retire. Keenan Allen in full PPR might be one of the best picks on the board. But Tyler Warren possibly gets nuked by Keenan to the Colts. I think if there's one Colt that is insulated no matter what, it is still Tyler Warren. But Goddard, excellent at cost, really valuable. And then Juwan Johnson getting a shit ton of volume. How many targets did Juwan Johnson have last year? I forget the exact number. Last year, Juwan Johnson had 102 targets, 77 catches, 889 yards, only 3 touchdowns. But if you go back to 2022, he had 7 touchdowns. It's possible he has something like that again. I love Juwan Johnson. A former teammate of Tyler Shuck should be an excellent piece of that offense yet again. All right, the team is pretty solid, no complaints, and Allen does feel decently valuable. I don't hate it, but I wish I had Kincaid. I would have felt better maybe had I had James Cook, but we got Ray Davis instead, so that's totally fine. DJ Moore would have been clutch instead of Christian Watson, but not everything can be perfect. This team is good. I wouldn't say it's perfect, though. It's solid. It's definitely good. The running back room feels great. And then we also have Allen, so we should be in good shape. All right. There was Zero's in here. Batweed is in here. They're both members. Otherwise, though, only Game Tight is a member, so 3 team reviews, and then we'll move on. The poll was essentially tied between full PPR and the puppy. I think we're going to do the puppy just to satisfy the other half of the poll. It was so close. I think I have to do one of each. But let's do team reviews first. We'll be drafting in the fast puppy in just a few minutes. Batwheat has Brock Purdy, Baker Mayfield, and Cam Ward. That checks out. That's fine, especially if it's stacked up. It would feel good. But Bijan, Tony Pollard. I like waiting on Pollard, to be honest, when I draft Bijan. Jadarian Price at 73 is pretty interesting. but in college he caught no reception, so not quite sure he's a very good pick in full PPR. In the 7th round, though, it's probably worth it. Waited a long time, though, for Tank Bigsby, one of my favorite handcuffs. Marshawn Lloyd, pretty interesting, but could be worthless again. And then Jordan James, worth the swing in San Francisco. Nico Collins, Mike Evans, Devontae Adams, Jacoby Myers at 97. Whoa, that's expensive. Romeo Dobbs, Travis Hunter, and Ted Hurst. The Myers price was a little bit costly, but in full PPR, I guess it's okay. I don't love it, but at the bookend, you can kind of justify any reach, but I think you just missed out. You kind of got punished a little bit there. I think you felt a little desperate on Myers, but Hunter, mostly a luxury pick. The top 3 receivers are decent, but Adams a bit more of a touchdown guy. Maybe the same with Evans. So I don't see a ton of volume, honestly, at receiver. Receiver feels a little weak for volume. And you did take Trey McBride, so you may have paid the price a little bit. Gunnar Helm is pretty good. Probably expecting 70-plus targets for him. And he is stacked up with Cam Ward. So interesting team, the Evans stack, the Ted Hurst stack, and the Gunnar Helm stack. The team could have better stacks. Let's not pretend it's the best stack team I've ever seen. But neither is mine. But some of these quarterbacks run the ball a little bit. Purdy runs a little bit. So does Baker. It's all right, but I would have maybe preferred it with more stacks. I'll be honest. Running back feels okay, not elite. Receiver also feels okay, not elite. And then tight end, McBride should be worth it, but also still kind of feels gross because it's Arizona. Good luck, but 0 in here with pick 2, one with a heavy Caleb stack. Caleb, CJ Stroud, and Geno Smith. I always hate the Geno selection. Even at 191, I think it's pretty disgusting, but it is cheap. It is cheap as fuck, and it is stacked with Breece Hall. It is what it is, but Gibbs always makes the team feel good. Kyle Monangai, Jordan Mason, and James Conner. Pretty legit running back room. Mason is the 4th, feels excellent, and then Monangai is also correlating with Caleb, but not the heaviest pass catcher, at least last year. Not that much, but he can do it. It's just if Swift goes down. You have Pickens, though. You have Luther Burden stacked up with Caleb. You have Metcalf, Jordan Addison, Shakir, Trey Tucker, Deebo Samuel, and Calvin Ridley. Pretty interesting receiver room. Overall, no complaints, and the Burden bet is pretty solid, especially past ADP. I'm willing to make it as well. Loveland, though, expecting a lot of volume. It is stacked up. And then Schultz will get a shit ton of volume. Let's see. Last year, Schultz had 106 targets, 82 catches. He's a perfect full PPR selection. If anything, he makes someone like Chigokonkwo look kind of gross, but will he catch 82 receptions again? That feels like a little bit of hopium. It's possible, but he probably falls down a little bit in terms of volume. He's a very good pick, though. No doubt about it. Excellent tight end room with Loveland and Schultz. Receiver, very fine. No major issues. And then running back is pretty fun. Quarterback, a little gross in terms of depth, but Caleb, if he hits, is worth it on this team. Fun one. Looks like you trust Caleb in this format, but usually we don't see you draft Caleb Williams. Game tight, our last team review. Lamar Jackson and Bo Nix. That's totally fine. Jonathan Taylor, Devon Achane, RJ Harvey, Pacheco, Jonah Coleman, Brian Robinson, and Mike Washington. So a lot of volume at running back, 7 total. Very compelling room. A lot of upside swings that maybe don't catch a shit ton of receptions, but Taylor at pick 8, maybe not my favorite selection, but still really talented. Achane really valuable at pick 17. Harvey is decent, but these last 4 might be kind of worthless. Might not contribute very much. It might be a lot to spend, honestly, for 7 total. It could be spent differently. Flowers, Waddle, Marvin Harrison, Chris Godwin, Rashid Shaheed, Pat Bryant, and Rashad Bateman. Pretty decent The Bateman click feels very misguided, though. Bateman does not feel very valuable. And every time I take Bateman, it's like, shit, I think I fucked up there. But Laporta and Andrews, so a pretty big Lamar Jackson stack. The Waddle with Bo Nix always feels nice. And you also have Pat Bryant stacked up as well. Pretty solid team, very complete, no major issues. 7 receivers, could have been 8, but you could have also drafted another tight end or quarterback. I think having one more tight end might have been decent, but Laporta can definitely cover the ground. So it's fine. Running back feels kind of mid, though, in full PPR to have 7. I don't love the running back room that much. Okay, that's going to be it. We're going to draft in the Fast Puppy. But Ryan Bladen asking, what are you not liking about Bateman? Last year, he was pretty bad. Last year, he really fell off. And then they have shown you nothing but signs. They don't really trust him. It's a new coaching staff, so maybe the GM still believes in the contract they gave him, but last year he wasn't worth it. And then they drafted Jacoby Lane and Elijah Surratt. I do believe Tez Walker can develop. So I think mixing in all 4 of the Ravens receivers at the end of the draft, round 18, is a viable strategy. And if anything, I kind of prefer going with the rookies. So to take him never, I think is a little bit too much, but every time I choose to mix it in, it doesn't feel worth it. It feels off. It feels like this is not his season to bet on. If anything, they're maybe going to test it out the first few weeks, and if he doesn't prove that he can show up, once we hit October, his role drastically diminishes pretty quickly. But he has had some relevant weeks in the past. I might be overlooking him, but in general, I prefer to take Surratt or Jacoby Lane. Even Tez Walker, as much as Bateman, I think is fine. Trent was not allowed to watch Beetlejuice. I've actually still not seen the original Beetlejuice. I saw the second one in theaters, but I actually have not seen the original. Yeah, I saw South Park the movie when I was in 2nd grade, when I was not allowed to. I was not allowed, but I saw it anyways. Not allowed to watch SpongeBob. Interesting. Okay. I've heard of people like you, but I can't really imagine missing out on seasons 1, 2, and 3 of SpongeBob. You can miss everything after that. Season 4 and later, who cares? Everything produced after the SpongeBob movie may as well not exist, in my opinion. But seasons 1, 2, and 3 of SpongeBob are just goated. They hold the test of time. You can watch them now as an adult and laugh like crazy. Me and my girlfriend, we love SpongeBob. We'll watch an episode every now and then on streaming. But how would you know who lived in a pineapple under the sea, right? How the fuck would you know vital information? But 90s Simpsons was my most memorized show besides Family Guy. I did not catch The Simpsons when I was alive in the 90s. I was way too young to value The Simpsons at that age. But I never really got into The Simpsons, not gonna lie. Not that I don't like it, I just never really got into it. Paulino, my cultural references are usually from watching Family Guy, American Dad, and Futurama. I did watch a lot more Family Guy. I've seen more Futurama, but can't quote it very much. American Dad kind of lost me after a couple years. I didn't love it as much as Family Guy. But, heard new King of the Hill episodes are great. Is there a new King of the Hill? I didn't know that. Tamba, arms open, indeed. I can communicate in most fandoms. Honestly, I have no idea what Temba means. I have no idea about that. Reaching across the divide to the puppy contingent, beautiful. It was a dead tie. I don't think I can lock in with just the full PPR, given it was just a tie. But is stacking less important in PPR? I would disagree. If anything, you want to be stacking receiver most of the time, and that's a more valuable position. So I would disagree. I would say stacking is still equally as important. It's best ball. It's still best ball. But Geno more accomplished than Daniel Jones, and Geno had better weapons too. If you want to take Geno over Daniel Jones this year, be my guest. But I would not bet on a player going to the Jets to get better. If anything, players only get better when they leave the Jets. just ask Geno Smith. But pick 1 is hard to stack as well. I freaked out in the mid rounds. Pick 1 can get difficult sometimes. You can get boxed out from pick 1. But Jackson felt like he killed the draft, but Jackson is not a member, so I'm not going to take a look. For the sake of time, I'm just catching up with the chat, and then we're moving on. But either it's the Madden curse or it's the complete opposite, right? Either he breaks the Madden curse because they left Chicago, and maybe Chicago being on the cover is really what's cursed after all. But if anything, fading Caleb on the Madden cover might also be the move. But Montgomery Burns, excellent. You were boxed in by 0. That can't be ideal. But Ryan, do you think any of that could be from Lamar just being injured? Possibly, but I do think the writing is on the wall. They want to elevate someone else aside from Bateman. But losing Isaiah Likely makes it pretty interesting. But it seems like, yeah, he's had some chances. They pay him a decent amount. But at this point in time, receiver contracts just don't mean as much as they once did. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe Bateman's still the man. Number 2 in Baltimore is going to be valuable this year. I will say that. I think you do want to take some swings with the Ravens pass catchers. But if they sign Stephon Diggs, if they sign Deebo Samuel, that's going to be annoying. I don't think they sign Keenan Allen. But David Hasselhoff, the SpongeBob movie, is also similar to the Odyssey. It's based on the Odyssey. I actually kind of want to go see the Odyssey in theaters. But all right, I made you guys wait long enough. We're going to draft in the Fast Puppy. I'll give you a reasonable 10-second countdown this time. I won't go as fast as I did last time. But get ready. We're drafting in the Fast Puppy in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 6 spots available. This is no rug pull. I cannot be accused of a rug pull in this scenario. If anything, all of y'all are drafting with us today. Let's take a look. I get pick 5. We are back in the regular format. If anything, I'd rather have pick 5 in the full PPR, so that's a bummer. But in this lobby, we have Kastner 289. I'm not sure I recognize you. Let me know if you're watching. We also had Underdogs Anonymous. He's a member, gets a team review out of the 102. Good to see you, A-Rod. Heavy Hitter at pick 3. Our boy Chad, Niners fan 05, is in at pick 4. Chad, are you still a member? I think so, but I'm not sure if the membership has expired. Always have to check as the months progress. But I believe you're still a member. King Calorie is in here as well. Nice to see you, brother. At pick 6. Gotham Guy, not sure I recognize you, but you might be watching. If you are, let me know. Danimal at pick 8. Always good to see you, brother. He gets a team review. CJ Willie in the house. McNix is in here. And an outstanding countdown. He says he did make it. Game Tight also gets a team review. And then T-Dub at pick 12. All set. But Colin Willits does have pick 9. CJ Willie is there indeed. But pick 5, one of my least favorites. And you know what? Today, I'm just going to stick to ADP. I'm going to draft... I'm going to stick to my rankings today, not ADP. I misspoke. I'm going to stick to my rankings. You've seen it plenty of times. At pick 5, I do have Amon-Ra ranked here. And why not just stick to it today? It's been a minute since I've drafted him above ADP. I was well above 12% in terms of exposure. So I was like, you know what? I can pause the button on Amon-Ra for a little bit and maybe catch up on JSN a little bit, catch up on Taylor a little bit, catch up on Christian McCaffrey a little bit. I had been drafting Amon-Ra above the 3 of them, but not today, not today. Yo, Omega, appreciate that. The $5 donation for acting at the Montgomery Burns. Excellent. Made my night. Appreciate that, brother. I'm glad you enjoyed it. And thank you very much for the super chat. Appreciate that. But Young Moolah still missed it. You got to get in before I count to 5. I think you got to get in. At worst, by the time I say the number 6. There's typically a 6-second delay, and I think you have to click the button while I'm counting from 10 to 6. That'd be my guess. But Batwheat says the Odyssey was amazing. Saw it today in IMAX. Definitely the way to see it. Yeah, it sounds like the way it was shot, it's probably worth going for IMAX. IMAX theaters exist. It's really not necessary to go to them all the time. Sometimes it's a little overrated. But if I'm ever going to go see an IMAX film, it's got to be a Christopher Nolan movie, right? If anyone's going to shoot a movie intended for IMAX and do it the right way, it's going to be Christopher Nolan. Last time I saw an IMAX movie, it was also a Christopher Nolan movie. I saw Dunkirk in IMAX, and that was a pretty fun experience. Honestly, I really enjoyed Dunkirk in IMAX. But I'm not afraid of the triple whiteout start, but if anything, AJ Brown at pick 20, I'm chilling with that. We get Amon-Ra and AJ Brown. It's not impossible to get this combo. ADP is 7 on Amon-Ra, AJ Brown 18. So if anything, they are matched up. But because I pulled up Amon-Ra and I got the falling price on AJ, what I think I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to take top of ADP at 29. That is the one way you can get different when you pull someone up in the first round. It's usually not going to be the case in the second round. You might want to just take someone from that side of the board just to lock in getting different. But if you get a good value to fall, it's probably worth it to just take that. And then in round 3, try to get as close to the opposite side of the board as you can. So I think I'll just take top ADP on this one, whoever it is. The lobby will decide my fate. If it's running back, excellent. If it's not, it's fine. I think it's Breece Hall. If I had to guess, it's Breece Hall right here. ADP is Breece Hall. Let's do it. Also, he fell 2 picks, so we're getting somebody that lines up from the 3 slot with 2 guys that line up from the 7 slot. It's not impossible for Breece to just fall back to 31, but that is the slightly unique aspect of this team. We're getting someone that fell that goes on the left side of the board with 2 guys that usually go in the middle of the board. But appreciate that, Danimal. Good luck to you as well. Danimal started off with a Genty at pick 8, Saquon at 17, and then T. Higgins at 32. Basically, Danimal is drafting a team from the 11 slot at the 108. Basically, I have a team from the 7 slot at the 105, and Danimal has a team that you can draft from the 111 at the 108. But Shamrock, is this full PPR? No, it is not. It is the Fast Puppy, the regular half PPR settings on Underdog. But why Amon-Ra over JSN? Amon-Ra has more trusted production over the years. JSN had a major breakout last season, and while his target share is definitely better, I don't know if I trust Sam Darnold without Clint Kubiak. I think the Clint Kubiak aspect of this offense is possibly a major issue. I could see the Seahawks fall off a decent amount this year. If they win the Super Bowl, it's going to be on the back of their defense again, not the offense. And with a full training camp for Rashid Shaheed, I think he'll be more involved a little bit. With no Ken Walker, they might throw the ball more, but I just think I trust the touchdown production for Amon-Ra more than I trust it for JSN. JSN is a very good pick in the first round, but I think Amon-Ra is an excellent pick. He has like top 5 production the last 3 seasons. He's been elite, and he always stays healthy. I love Amon-Ra. I think he's fantastic, but I'll go Josh Jacobs today. I have a lot of Cam Scatterbo, and I've been taking him over Jacobs lately. So on this one where Jacobs falls 4 picks, I'll get a little bit different from my typical exposure. We'll have 2 green jerseys at running back. Breece Hall and Josh Jacobs feels like a high upside paired with a high floor type of pick. If anything, I like this combo. Breece with Jacobs feels decent. But Fancy Dog is in here. He's the number 47 like. Hey Adam, 0, and Moo. Yeah, Moolah. Funny to call him Moo. I've never I've never called Young Moolah just Moo before. But thank you for hitting the like button. Looks like we got 47 likes still, 75 people watching. Would really appreciate y'all if you're enjoying to either support the channel with a like or a subscription. It's free to do, and it really helps me out in the algorithm. And if you're enjoying this team, if you're enjoying the vibe, it ensures that you can check out our future drafts because you hit the subscribe button. But I'll go Travion today. Let's shoot for some upside. Travion could be a true league winner. I definitely like the pick quite a bit. We'll go Travion. Another week 11 bye, but we have Breece Hall to cover us already. So even though Josh Jacobs, Travion will be out of the lineup week 11, it's not that big of a deal. And if I get Drake May to circle back, then we're in even better shape with the double stack in New England. Travion can catch a lot of passes. There were a few games last year where he had 5+ receptions, and I believe he was more involved than Ramondre in that regard. Ramondre can still catch a lot of receptions too, but I think Travion, if he truly breaks out, would be well worth this round 5 capital, as well as a good stacking option with Drake May. But Young Moolah, come on, bro. I know about the timing. Just some gankses in here jumping in way early. There was a little beat after I actually clicked the button for the lobby to fill. There were 6 spots available, and if you got in early, that's the move. Maybe just clicking at 10 is the right move. But Zero says Puppy is hard to get into because it's usually filling fast as fuck, even with no streamers. Yeah, that's a very valid point, Zero. There's also that factor. But yeah, a movie that's fully intended for IMAX is probably the only excuse to ever go to one of those theaters. It doesn't feel worth it if it's like, you know, just a regular 35mm type of film, or, you know, something that's just on a digital camera with no intention for being in IMAX. Like, if you told me they made a sequel to Dude, Where's My Car? I don't think I would have to go see that in IMAX. You know what I'm saying? But, Zero, I gotta go to the store anyways, so I didn't try and get in, and you still missed. What the fuck? Yeah, Zero not being in this lobby is probably the main headline of anything. I almost forgot about that, but Young Moolah just had an amazing draft, so maybe best I didn't get in any of these streamed pods. The EV late night on a Sunday, always usually good, whether streamed or not, but come on, Calorie. Let me have him. Damn it, brother. Damn it, brother. Come on. Come on. This contest hasn't been open for too long, so reaching on Quentin Johnston in the 6th isn't as crazy as doing it in Best Ball Mania. There was never a point in time in the Fast Puppy where Quentin Johnston was going in the 8th round. He's always been going early 7th in this format. So maybe you can get him in the 80s on occasion in the Fast Puppy, but usually late round 7 is the latest you can get Quentin Johnston. I'm fine pulling him up. It also leads to the justified Justin Herbert selection. And you know I like to do that. So today we'll go QJ. I'm totally fine with it. But stream drafts are dope. You get Josh Allen in the 4th and people pulling Scat to the 3-4 turn. Touche, Zero. Touche. But Scat Attack had the spill at the WWE. I know, he did fall, but he's confident enough to trust the knee. We have 7 weeks or 6 weeks until the start of the season. I've already made the commitment. I believe in Cam Scatipo. And if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I'm shooting for 1st place, not 5th. So we take our risks and we live with it. It is what it is. But it also helps when you have some site credit. I will say that. It's a little bit easier to swallow when it's not actually your money sometimes. But at this point in time, all of the drafts you see me doing are not on site credit. I no longer have any more site credit. So every pick is actually costing me my own money. It's about time. But Young Moolah says, smash the like button, fam. Don't cost you a thing. Click on Arrival, reward the streamers. Appreciate that, Young Moolah. And our boy Young Moolah is also a phenomenal streamer. If you haven't checked out GAB for Life, GAB Sports, check him out. A friend of the channel. We've been over there multiple times. We've also had some streams with Young Moolah here. And we might have him back on the channel before the offseason's over. Yeah, I might check for... I'll probably reach out to you, Young Moolah. Maybe not this week, but pretty soon. I think we'll have Young Moolah back on the channel. Definitely before the offseason is over. Always draft some interesting teams with Young Moolah. But, oh man. Dude, Where's My Car in IMAX would F hard. You know the aliens? You know at the end of the movie where they're at the amusement park and... the women from Zebulon or whatever fucking planet like morph into one giant woman. And there's the kid that's like, Dad, I want to go on that ride. That and IMAX would be pretty fun. But yeah, I think Scadabo's fine. I think Scadabo's gonna be all right. Always risk with him, but I think he's gonna be fine. McNix, I have a theory that double stacking teammates increases the chance someone takes their quarterback unstacked. Interesting. Typically, you can get away with it. We got away with it with Baker in the last one. We took Egbuka and Godwin, and we got Baker at 130. That was a pretty good option. But for contest integrity... Yeah, the Drake May snipe was a bummer. I've seen Drake May at the 6-7 turn a couple times. I've seen him in the 70s a few times. I took him at 72 the other day. Even unstacked. That was awesome. But, ooh, interesting. Do we take Trevor Lawrence here? I don't think so. A double week 7 bye, it's fine. I probably want 3, but this might be my last draft of the evening. And I haven't drafted Blake Corum much at all. He's on the thumbnail. I'm going to take Blake Corum. Another week 11 bye. Fuck. Damn it. That's not ideal. I will say that. That's kind of annoying. But we can still draft another one that doesn't have week 11 bye. We're going to get away with it. I think it's going to be all right. But 3 running backs out of 4 in the first 8 rounds with a week 11 bye. Not ideal. Not the best course of action. But also possibly overrated to worry about. We can still just get one other player and be perfectly fine with our situation. But Amon-Ra 5 is early as fuck. This is ultimately where I have him. And pick 5, I think, is where you should get different. Pick 5 is where you can kind of just do whatever you want, in my opinion. I think it's fine. But, I'm going to play with fire. I might not get him back, but it's been a minute since I've taken Sam Laporta. And it's not a pick I want to be fading too often. So I doubt it. I'm not convinced it's going to work out. But I'm the Amon-Ra drafter. And the only other one with a Lion is the team at the 101 that has Gibbs and JMO. There isn't a single team on the right side of the board with a Detroit Lion now that I drafted Sam Laporta. Had I left Sam Laporta open... I would guarantee you I get sniped on Laporta, but we're going to test out the theory that McNix just dropped in the chat. We got the double stack. I have Herbert already, so if I don't get it, I'm not going to be that upset. But I have Amon-Ra and Laporta. If I get Goff at 116, it's an auto click. We'll see what happens. I might get lucky, but 0, man, I would have 50% Marv if I had site credits. Yeah, there's some clicks that are much easier to make, right? There's some clicks that are far, far easier when you're actually not risking anything. But Anthony, I feel like my draft IQ just increased tremendously. Based on what? I'm already forgetting what the context is. But Zoltan. Who the fuck is Zoltan? Or did you mistype Zlatan? Zlatan Ibrahimovic is a beast. But I banish you to Hoboken, New Jersey. I don't want to go there. But this has to be a Dude, Where's My Car reference. One of your first DVDs you got? That's crazy. That's wild. Ashton Kutcher and Sean Ridley Scott. If anything, Sean Ridley Scott should have been a much bigger name than Kutcher. Sweet. Goff, come on down. The ADP says Stafford, but the team I built 100% says Jared Goff. Sweet. This is nice. We have Justin Herbert and Jared Goff, both of the powder blue jerseys. The Lions are technically Honolulu blue, but basically powder blue for both. Running back room has Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Travion, and Blake Corum. Wide receiver, a little top heavy, but definitely some high upside picks. We got Amon-Ra, AJ Brown, and Quentin Johnston. Sam Laporta for the double stack. Feels excellent. Yeah, Goff at 116 already feels nice, but especially with the double stack, we're in business. But yeah, let's get it. We played that correctly. Appreciate y'all in the lobby who did not snipe me. But Avi Hoffman, Drake May will be easy. Top 5 quarterback in fantasy with AJ Brown. He's my QB3. In my rankings, I have Drake May as number 3. Yeah. Probably 2 or 3. Bye week bros are pissed. I know. Sometimes we care about them. We went on a big monologue about why you don't want Josh Allen and Justin Herbert. We appeased the bye week bros. Damn it. I really wanted Chris Rodriguez there. I will say, I really did want Chris Rodriguez. Damn it. Chad sniped me. That's a bummer. If anything, I might need receiver points, though. Maybe this is Jaden Higgins' team. It might be. I never take Jaden Higgins, but on this team, I'm probably taking like 8 of them. So with 4 running backs already, I think I'll just trust that volume paying off and maybe get lucky with who fills in week 11. But Sam Laporta gives me the confidence that I can wait on tight end and not force it. There are some great tight ends in the 11th round. I will say that, but I think the roster I've constructed just needs receiver a little bit more. And while I don't love Higgins, he does have some spike week ability. And I did like him a lot last year. So I don't want to be at a full 0 on Higgins. But knowing I'm going to draft 8, to be honest with you, I think that's the move on this one. I think I'm probably stopping at 2 quarterbacks. Herbert and Goff, I think, will be fine. I'm going to want some volume at wideout. But if you hear her in the background, Leia is pissed at me. She wants some food. She does not want to make an appearance, though. She does not want to step on camera. Maybe later. But Hoffman says, rather go CMC or Genty at 5 or Taylor. You need that running back at 5, not going to lie. If you're afraid of a few 0 RB builds or at least wideout builds, you may be a little too scared of pushing it. But if there's ever a position to not force the running back position, it's drafting from the 5 slot. You could totally argue that my running back room doesn't have that elite option, but there's also a world where I get 2 of the steals of the draft in Josh Jacobs and Travion Henderson, and having those double elite anchor receivers makes my starting lineup that much better. It's good to have different builds. If you're not going to draft much volume, then do whatever you want. But I've pulled up a bunch of different people. I've even pulled up Hampton at pick 5, brother. Pick 5, I get very different. Today we go Amon-Ra. And that is actually, I think, the safest pick. But, yeah. I have disproven the theory. Goff did indeed make it back. How many fast puppies do I expect to get in? I typically do about 45, 50 in the puppy. I usually do something like that. But I think week 11 is that Ravens matchup. We're going to go Keaton Mitchell today. Fuck it. I'll go Keaton Mitchell. I'm not going to commit further to Houston. I could go Pacheco, but that seems kind of worthless. I'll go Keaton Mitchell. Past ADP is the only time I'm ever really interested in doing it. But let me find out. I believe Keaton Mitchell has the revenge game week 11. I think that's the Ravens game. No, I was mistaken. Oh, even better. Fuck yeah. You know who Keaton Mitchell plays in week 11? It literally could not be better. It literally is the best it could possibly be. Keaton Mitchell is hosting the New York Jets. If there was ever a week where Keaton Mitchell was going to be heavily involved, it's week 11. I could go Strat if I really wanted to, but not in love with it. Not in love with it at all. Damn. Tight end is the play here. I'm going to go Hunter Henry. I feel very safe drafting Hunter Henry. Another week 11 bye, but I don't give a shit. Another New England Patriot. And you know what, King Calorie? If you're going to snipe me on Drake May, you better have taken Romeo Doubs. You did not. Good luck, brother. You do not get Hunter Henry today. Bummer. Tough shit. You let me have Jared Goff, but an unstacked tight end makes way more sense than an unstacked Jared Goff. You should have taken Romeo Doubs. Oh, no, you never had a chance. Romeo Doubs went at 111 to McNicks. You went Wandale. So, sorry, brother. But I just love Hunter Henry. Former Charger, a true professional. Team is cooked without Henry. Maybe you shouldn't have taken Drake May if that's really what you believe. There's always Kayshon Boutte. There's always Kyle Williams. But sorry, brother. I think Hunter Henry is one of the best picks in the 13th round. Gadsden was already taken. Brenton Strange was already taken. Chigo Konko has long been drafted well above round 13. So taking Juwan Johnson, also a move there. But receiver is pretty bad, in my opinion. You have to reach on someone to take receiver. I did not want CJ Stroud. Running back is gross as fuck. I already had 5, so wasn't taking running back. Tight end was the only position I could really justify other than receiver there if I wasn't taking Stroud. So, apologies, brother. It is what it is. I just think Hunter Henry is a great pick where he goes. But A.J. Brown is fire indeed. Glad to have him on this one. But you know what? He might not win you the contest. Week 17, he's going to line up against Patrick Surtain, and that could be a problem. So the ball's going to go elsewhere that week. It might be going to Hunter Henry. It's not like the Broncos linebackers are as scary of a matchup as Pat Surtain. So I love A.J. Brown this season. I think he's a great advance piece, especially week 16. He gets the Jets, so he should go nuclear week 16. Kayshon Boutte gets... Yo, that's hilarious. Kayshon Boutte 163 is fucking hilarious. The choice here, though, is do I take Trey Harris or Isaac Tesla? And this might shock you. I'm definitely the Chargers guy, but I'm actually going to go Isaac Tesla. I think Tesla has more upside than Trey Harris. I think we've seen that the Tesla connection with Goff is actually a little more prone to touchdowns than it is for Trey Harris. Trey Harris was extremely mid last season. Really no good games. I already have Quentin Johnston, so I'm going to further commit to Jared Goff. I'm going to go Isaac Tesla, and I have way higher investment on Trey Harris already. So I will go with the lesser-owned player, who I've also been talking myself into more these days as I've been trying to draft less Trey Harris. I think Tesla could be phenomenal because he also has some of the highest contingent value of any receiver, just like Ryan Flournoy. Elite contingent upside if something goes wrong for JMO or Amon-Ra. But back on the clock, not ideal. I think Barner is a very good click, but I've been trying to take more Jerry Jeudy recently, and at receiver, week 11 bye is less relevant. I do have A.J. Brown, but that's the only week 11 at wideout. I can't take week 11 at running back. I think I'm done with those 5, though. And then I already have Hunter Henry, who's week 11. So, not ideal. I almost took Greg Dulcich, but just like Sam Laporta, he's also week 6. So at tight end, I think I'd rather just get a little bit different if I'm taking a third. I might just stop at 2, given I'm stopping at 2 at quarterback. I think the 2-5-8-3 is the move. I think the math checks out on that, and the build I think is definitely legit. Breece Hall, Josh Jacobs, Travion Henderson, Blake Corum, and Keaton Mitchell. That running back room definitely checks out. We got Keaton Mitchell with Justin Herbert as well. Not the biggest pass catcher, but still pretty solid stacking partner. And maybe the weeks where he pops off, Herbert won't go nuclear and Goff is just going to go crazy. It might correlate well, but Amon-Ra, A.J. Brown, Quentin Johnston, who is stacked up. Jaden Higgins feels a little gross. Isaac Tesla, Jerry Jeudy. My receiver room doesn't have the best depth, but it's very top-heavy, and the starting lineup is all that matters at the end of the day. But Sam Laporta, Hunter Henry, the team feels pretty lit. Honestly, I like this team a lot. A lot of Patriots on this team, a lot of Lions on this team, a lot of Chargers on this team. Can't go wrong with that. We also have a L.A. Ram, a Green Bay Packer, a New York Jet, and a Cleveland Brown, but still, the Patriots, the Chargers, and the Lions, those are good bets to make. But let me catch up with the chat real quick while I plan out this next pick. If he's still there, I think I'll just take Greg Dulcich. I think for the fall in price, I think I'll just take him, but he's more of a floor play, not an upside play, so he does go to Gotham guy. Mostly an ADP value right there, rather than a critical draft pick. In terms of upside, give me Terrence Ferguson. I think that's a really good pick. My stacking options are pretty limited. There's no Charger left right here other than like Njoku perhaps. Actually, maybe I take Njoku. You know what? Yeah, maybe I take Njoku. I like Dontavian Wicks quite a bit. Let's go Dontavian Wicks instead. I'll push tight end one more time. And if T. Ferg is still there, maybe I take him. But no, he goes instantly after Niners fan grabs him. I have a decent share of T. Ferg, but if there's been one guy I've been fading heavily lately that might just be pretty good, it's the David Njoku backstack. I have a lot of shares of Njoku. If anything, he's falling to the last round too. I could totally push it one more round. John Belushi Samurai gift, that feels good. I'm also not that familiar with John Belushi, in all honesty, but I think communication in GIF form needs to be more recognized as valid. It just explains so much. It is a good way to communicate. If you have a friend that you text with that incorporates GIFs appropriately, it's a much higher level experience of texting. The texting experience gets elevated tremendously when you send valid, appropriate GIFs at the right time. But back on the clock, Kate Otten goes. Wasn't interested in him at all. I'm going to push Njoku. His ADP has really been moving down the board. I'm going to push him. I'm going to go receiver instead. And you know what? We'll just go back to the well on Darnell Mooney. Kind of talked myself into it a little bit earlier today. And I go back and forth with all of those Giants receivers. But I feel like I may have taken a little bit too much Darius Slayton. So getting back in on Mooney before camp is probably the move. If there's one that could really vault up the board, it's probably Mooney. More likely than the other ones. So let's take him now. Neighbors is probably going to be on the pup. So it's a safe bet to take a random Giants receiver every now and then. But Avi does agree Amon-Ra is safe as fuck. He's money in the bank. You can't necessarily win your league in round 1, but you can lose it. And if there's one pick I don't think is losing you the league, it's Amon-Ra St. Brown. That is for sure. But he's been one of the most consistent high-grade assets in the game. Crazy good. It's just such a safe pick. And also, we saw Michael Wilson average like 15 targets for a stretch last season in the Drew Petzing offense. Trey McBride had insane volume. The tight end and the receiver one in the Lions offense this year, if it's the same as Arizona last year, will be truly, truly elite. I don't think you want to be underweight on Sam Laporta, nor Amon-Ra St. Brown. But does anyone think Raritan gets any year 1 play? I do not. I don't believe it. Efton Chisholm should still be there. Yeah, you can always take Chisholm. There's always that. But Raritan probably will play since Julian Hill got hurt. Not enough to threaten Hunter Henry. But Tesla was an investment I made a lot on the pre-draft late. I love his profile. He's already used in red zone packages. He feels like an excellent backstack with Jared Goff. Truly a good value. Even unstacked, I think he's actually decent. But what am I talking myself into? Njoku. Yeah, Njoku on this one is where we're going to go. Herbert with QJ and Njoku could be fantastic. I am not convinced that Gadsden's going to be better than Njoku this year. I'm not convinced that Njoku will be better than Gadsden. I think that's a kind of a bold statement to say with conviction. But it is absolutely possible. 100% it's possible. Gadsden can't block. And Njoku has had elite volume at times. There's weeks where Njoku we've seen in the past with like 15 targets. The Mike McDaniel tight end is always a player you want. Last 2 seasons, it's been very productive. Whether it was Jonnu Smith 2 years ago or Darren Waller with a bunch of touchdowns last season, they will incorporate the tight end probably more than wide receiver 3 in this offense. So it might be Njoku. It's also possible that Gadsden just gets hurt. That could lead to amazing contingent upside on Njoku. But for him to be in the last round on a team with Herbert minimally stacked, I think it's a solid play. I think the round 18 stacks on Herbert are actually much more exciting right now because you can no longer backstack Herbert with QJ. When QJ went in the 8th round after Herbert, it was much better, but now to take him in the 6th, a little less exciting. Njoku, though, I can absolutely see the path where on occasion you get like a 15-point game out of Njoku. I think he could hit the top 5 randomly, just spiking in the Chargers system. It's a good system to bet on. So we'll recap the team after I catch up with the chat real quick. Paulino says Raritan will play in the punt/kick coverage team. Possibly. I don't see much usage for him in fantasy year 1, especially if you're right on this special teams usage. But Hervey Dunn, what's up, bro? Nice to see you. Not sure I recognize you in the chat too often, but appreciate you popping in. Nice to see you, Mr. Hervey. But Mr. Hoffman says Lions can make Super Bowl if Goff doesn't choke. Same with the Chargers. Literally the same argument with the Chargers. But what are you doing with the Ravens receivers after Flowers, who's the next pass catcher? We brought this up earlier in the live stream. I think you want to be taking kind of all 4 of the names. And I think you also want to take some of the veteran free agents with the hope that they sign in Baltimore. I think Debo is the most compelling option there, but I think mixing in Elijah Surratt, Jacoby Lane, Rashad Bateman, and even Tez Walker in that order, I think is decent. I have roughly around like 3 to 5, 6% on all of them. I'm not overweight on any of them, but collectively I take a lot of those late round Ravens pass catchers, and I think you want to be mixing them in whenever you can at random, honestly, because right now it's anyone's guess. Right now we haven't had enough camp reports to know anything. So take some of them when they're stacked. Even unstacked, I take Surratt a decent amount. He's my preference. If I had to take one, it's Elijah Surratt. But you think they should sign the Cheetah? That would be interesting. I could totally see them sign Tyreek Hill much later into the season if they are vying for a ring, which you'd expect the Ravens to. I could totally see that. That's definitely an interesting call. But people forgetting Parkinson had the 8 touchdowns last year. I know sometimes, anytime I talk myself into T-Ferg, I'm like, maybe Parkinson is still pretty valid. But I think they're both worth clicking. I think Ferguson has higher upside in terms of yardage. But Slayton's in here, been listening while driving. Oh, whoops. While closing down the bar and the drive home, I'll jump in the next one if you rip one. Let's see. We're sitting at 50 likes. That's a lot. How about this? At 55 likes, we have 69, 70 people watching. 5 more likes, and I'll do one more. Just for the culture, just for the people watching. It's Sunday night, and I got nothing better to do, so I'm totally down. If we get 55 likes, I like the double number. That's a good omen. Let's do one more at 55 likes, but Andrews also a very valuable stack as well. Yeah, you got to stack Andrews as well with Lamar. But he's not giving you many yards. He is kind of washed, but he can also drop 10 touchdowns this year. And with no Isaiah Likely, that could be something. But Likely missed a lot of time last year, was pretty worthless, and Andrews was still kind of mid. So I get not liking Mark Andrews that much. But Ryan says, been taking shots on Devontae Walker in year 3. I don't think that's crazy. It's not my favorite thing to do, but could Devontae Walker have like a Troy Franklin level breakout this year? It's definitely possible, but I wouldn't feel great about it. In terms of overall volume, it's just like hoping for touchdowns on Tez Walker. But game type, can't stop clicking Mike Washington. Kubiak going to use him, but maybe just a dream. I don't take him too much, but he is interesting if he ever gets the job or just is more used than expected. But I don't really believe the 1A, 1B type of usage. He's not going to be like Charbonnet was in Seattle. I'll tell you that. But Hoffman, I like Njoku more. He's bigger. He's a bigger boy. Capital B-O-Y. Interesting take. Njoku, if he doesn't burn his face off, has historically been very productive. So to get him this late, he hasn't gone this cheap in a very long time. He should be decent. I think for the final round, he's actually a decent pick. But looks like we hit 60 likes already, so appreciate that. We definitely locked in. One more draft. But possibly, but he's not going to fight for playing time with anyone. He's playing like it or not. I don't think the tight end room in LA is set in stone. They want to see what they have in Gadsden, but I don't think Njoku is impossible to mix in, despite his contract. But we'll take a look at the one hole probably, if you mention it. Let's see. In this one, we have Underdog Anonymous Niner fan getting a team review, as well as Danimal and Game Type. Those are 4 of them already. For the sake of time, I don't think I'm going to do a 5th. So I think I'll move on. If anyone who's not a member would like a team review, drop a super chat or just become a member for $4.99 a month. You get all your teams reviewed anytime you're in here. But I come in here off and on. Remember, I always tell you smoke weed every day. Yo, it's actually been a minute since we hit the pipe. So if anything, for you, brother, now's the time. I don't think I hit the pipe a single time in that draft. We cleared the bowl, so I didn't have much reason to. But if you're going to tell me smoke weed every day, I have to oblige, right? It's only fair. But sweet. My grinder has like the perfect amount for just like one more bowl. It would have sucked if it was empty. But nice little pinch of weed. Let's take a rip. Let's go. All right, almost done catching up with the chat. I don't really love DK. He's fine. He's a fine pick, but he's been falling down last few years. Hoffman says, I think Debo going back to the Niners, that'd be pretty interesting. That'd be pretty good for my Debo shares. I wouldn't mind that at all. Appreciate that, game type. Totally thought I did that. Thank you very much for hitting the like button. Always appreciated. Omega, you got to ride with the olds, says 0. Little Man is sick and got auto-drafted from 13 through 15. My first share of Sadiq. Yikes. Yeah, Sadiq is not fun, I got to say. I would also vomit as well if I auto-click Sadiq. What about Rodgers? Rodgers is always fine. Closer to 30 touchdowns than 20, that's for sure. Yeah, he's absolutely closer to 30 touchdowns than 20. If I had to guess, it'd be 27, 28. That's my best guess. But 33 is totally possible. 33 totally in the cards if Rodgers just sends it this year. If Rodgers plays with like reckless abandon for once, he's usually pretty conservative, not trying to throw any interceptions. If he finally just lets it loose for once, it would be really fun. All right, let's do some team reviews, shall we? A-Rod has Caleb Williams, Patrick Mahomes, and Bryce Young. That's decent. Bijan, David Montgomery, J.K. Dobbins, JCM. Don't love the JCM pick at all. Brian Robinson with Bijan, I don't love either. Like, just strictly contingent upside. They don't ever hit at the same time, typically. Unless Brian Robinson really does have exactly the Tyler Algier role. But Kimani Vidal also kind of a mid-click. But versus the price on Keaton Mitchell, it's not the end of the world. I have clicked Kimani Vidal on occasion as well. Rashi Rice for the Kimani Vidal bring back. No, you get the Mahomes stack. That's pretty decent. Pickens, love the pairing. Parker Washington and Concepcion. McMillan, Calvin Ridley, and Leggett. Pretty solid, but I will say, I kind of prefer grabbing a receiver at the 4-5 turn when I start off this way. You took Monty and Loveland. There it is. Yeah, Loveland and Monty. I think I would have preferred either Monty and a receiver or Loveland and a receiver. I think I don't love only having two receivers on the left side of the board from the 102 all the way into the 6th round. I think the 6th round drop off to Parker Washington is massive. And so even though you got him around 7, I would have loved a receiver in the 5th or 4th round instead of David Montgomery. I think you took David Montgomery a little too high. I'm actually kind of low on Monty myself, but the team's pretty valid overall. No complaints other than that. It's just kind of how I structurally like to build my Bijan teams. Having 6 is kind of unnecessary, especially the Brian Robinson click. So you could swap that out for another receiver. I think the room would feel better. Or even tight end. But Loveland Gadsden can work. It's not brutal. Not at all. So give me one more receiver. I think I like the team better. But Leggett feels worthless. Ridley is pretty mid. McMillan I like a lot, but Concepcion is pretty risky, and then Parker Washington probably a major gamble as well. But good luck. The team is decent. The quarterback room, running back room can definitely salvage any risk factors elsewhere. Chad in here with Hurts, Purdy, and Stafford. Stafford at 117 always feels legit. Scatabo, Swift, Pollard. C-Rod and Kalen Black love the running back room. Excellent, given how you started with trip wideouts. This running back room is fantastic. Holy shit. Scatabo, Swift, and Pollard, and C-Rod is excellent. And then the last round click on Kalen Black. Love it. Absolutely love it. Puka, Nico, Devontae, phenomenal. 2 of them are stacked. Pearsall, I think, is also stacked. Let's go. Love Pearsall these days. Travis Hunter, been clicking him more as well. Cooper is talented. Flournoy, a little discount, but contingent upside through the roof. Sadiq, T. Ferg, and Kate Otten. So the tight end room is kind of disgusting, but honestly, the Terrence Ferguson pick feels pretty sweet. And then Otten kind of covers up some of the flaws of Sadiq. But at least it was a full round slide on Sadiq. Don't love it in the Jets offense, but ultimately, if he's healthy enough, he will play as the tight end 1. So should be okay at 172. It could be much worse. You could have autoed him at cost. That would have been even worse. So honestly, the team looks really fire. This team looks amazing because the starting roster, if you get the right Terrence Ferguson week, the starting roster could be phenomenal. I love this team. Honestly, from pick 4, this is one of the best teams I think I've seen. Because starting off Puka, Nico, Devontae is tough to come back from at times, especially if you get boxed out at running back. It was not the case, though. The Swift in the 5th was excellent. All right, let's move on, though. We got a couple more to do. Danimal was in here. Allen at 41. Tua and Geno, so very inexpensive on quarterbacks. Pulled up Tua at 185, though. Basically, like he took Geno right at ADP, and then Tua 6 picks ahead. So the quarterback room is kind of a wash in terms of where you took them. It's really funny that Geno's ADP is 185. You took Tua instead, and then you still end up taking Geno Smith. That's pretty funny. But Genti, Saquon, Chuba, Bigsby. So the double eagle, I don't mind at all. Kamara and Ray Davis, pretty interesting running back room. Good luck with Chuba, but everything else I think checks out. T. Higgins, DJ Moore, Marvin Harrison. Kind of gross with Harrison, but Pittman, Shakir, Coker, and Debo overall feels great. In full context, you got a lot of volume, a lot of targets. No issue with the receiver room. Kyle Pitts and George Kittle also feels pretty fun. Very exciting. The luxury pick is Tank Bigsby, though. You could have gotten away with no Tank Bigsby. Quarterback, you have Allen, so it checks out, but these two are kind of mid and gross. But receiver is fine. Tight end is exciting. And then running back has enough volume to cover any issues. So good luck, man. Honestly, this team is very fun. This team is pretty interesting. I like this one, Danimal. Allen at 41, I think you made the right choice. A very good choice. Last team, though, is game tight with Kyler, Cam Ward, and Daniel Jones. For the cost, it's decent, especially Jones at 158. That's pretty sweet. I really believe in Kyler Murray myself. So stacked up with Justin Jefferson, definitely the stack you want. That is good. Henry and Travis, Javonte and Kenny Gainwell, Mike Washington and Jordan James, really good running back room. That feels excellent. We have Justin Jefferson, Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Cortland Sutton, Jordan Addison, Rashid Shaheed, and Jawan Jennings. So the triple stack in Minnesota. Actually, the quadruple stack tight end feels disgusting with Hawkinson and Helm. Maybe Gunnar Helm breaks out enough to be worth it, but this team needs like Tyler Warren. If you had Tyler Warren instead of Jordan Tyson, I think I would like this team a lot more. You have a lot invested at running back, so you kind of have one extra pick there that you kind of don't need. I think the 6th running back might be costing you a little bit. Having another tight end, I think, would be really valuable on this one, because Hawkinson, tight end 1, is gross. And then you also have all 4 Vikings. Yeah, there's elements of... this just doesn't feel good with Hawkinson as such a big bet, and all of the other Vikings as well. Don't love it. Helm could break out, but not enough to really matter. I don't love it. But tight end is the one position where you can get away with it. So give me... You took Gainwell 107. Don't tell me Kyle Pitts was on the board. No, Kyle Pitts was off the board at least. The tight ends that went undrafted were Gesicki, Stowers, Darnell Washington, Michael Mayer, Charlie Kolar. I get it, but there's something missing, and it's a tight end. It's a tight end for sure. I think you should have taken Tucker Kraft instead of Cortland Sutton. I think that was the move. I think that was the play. And then instead of taking maybe even both of these running backs, but at least one of them, grab another receiver. Grab one more receiver. I think I would swap out Mike Washington and Cortland Sutton for Tucker Kraft and anyone you want. I think anyone you want at wideout. All right. That's going to be it for the team reviews, though. We ignored the chat for a minute, and obviously an avalanche came in. Let's just hop into another lobby. Let me drop a poll. What do you guys want? PPR or puppy? And now I need to fucking speed through the chat. Ricky Pearsall would belong in the Shaheed range if Debo goes back. That would be ugly. That would suck. I've started to take Ricky Pearsall a lot more lately, so that would be kind of annoying. But I'm not massively overweight Ricky Pearsall. I think he still hits at his cost, but Debo would be kind of annoying. It wouldn't shock me if he goes there. I can see Rodgers going for legacy and just launching it all year. He's had so many years where he's cared so much about the interceptions. This year, he might as well not give a shit, right? Feels like the move, but it's possible that him going for legacy is trying to maintain his career quarterback rating. He has the highest quarterback rating of all time or something. It's really impressive, whatever it is. And throwing interceptions is maybe going to be a factor there. But I don't think he goes full Brett Favre. Probably not full Brett Favre. But yeah, he's locked up his Hall of Fame career. At this point, why not just do whatever? Go Flacco. Go full Joe Flacco. Just chuck it. But padding those stats, hopefully. For my investment in Rodgers in the pre-draft, I sure hope so. 1-yard touchdown passes to Pittman, going to be nice. Yeah, definitely. I don't think he's chasing Brady. I think he's kind of just doing his own thing. But could be in the back of his mind where he might actually stay until 45, just like Brady. But Calvin Austin and Kenny Gainwell weren't helping to prevent double teams. No, I don't think they were doing much. Gainwell was pretty good, but Calvin Austin was pretty worthless there. But no need to slander Gainwell. I would agree. I think throwing Gainwell under the bus there was a little bit unnecessary. Jets and Dolphins are going to get swept 4-0 by the Pats and Bills. Yeah, you would think so. That should be pretty automatic. What? I have no idea what this is talking about. Don't trade Achane this season, just my opinion. What, in Dynasty? If someone is willing to overspend on Achane, I'd be willing to get rid of him. But I would imagine the price is like more of an all-time low right now. But Kenny Gainwell is the Austin Eckler of Ty Johnson's. I don't know. That feels like hyping up Ty Johnson way too much. Ty Johnson is pretty brutal. Eckler was great, but in recent memory, he was terrible. On the Commanders, he was dog shit. But I typically just hate Marv. It's not a great pick. Henry, Etienne, Javonte, nice team with Jefferson. Yeah, that's where it's like so good. Maybe you didn't need all 6 running backs. The 6th running back was kind of unnecessary. But this whole stream was just an MHJ intervention attempt. Zero is just committed. Zero loves him. Some nepotism. But yeah, it's also a Caleb MVP season, says Zero. He's been saying that all year. He loves Caleb. Zero drafts Caleb like 10 picks above ADP whenever he can. Zero drafts like 20 teams a day minimum. And at least 12 of them have Caleb Williams. He loves Caleb Williams. But Hawkinson sucks at this point. Hawkinson is very washed. So Hawkinson's a terrible tight end 1. But yeah, that tight end room was gross. At least Rodgers has a Super Bowl win. At least there's that. But Rodgers has played so well, it feels like he's also left some meat on the bone. I feel like we still kind of deserve one insane playoff run from Rodgers. You know what I mean? Like, it would be kind of disappointing if the same thing happens this year, where he makes the playoffs and just does nothing again, which is probably the case in Pittsburgh. It's probably going to happen once again. All right, let's draft. We're going to trust the poll. The poll is currently leading very close, but 55 to 45% in favor of the puppy. Y'all have spoken. We are drafting in the fast puppy with our last one. If you're ready, now's the time. We're hopping in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Plenty of spots open, so can't complain for not getting in. It is full. And we get pick 4. That's a bummer. I do not like pick 4 either. We just had pick 5, so that's kind of annoying. But Caleb Williams is filthy good. At some point, he's going to go crazy. At some point, Ben Johnson's just going to completely unlock him, and he's going to throw for, like, not just 4,000, but maybe 5,000 yards if they, like, really commit to another receiver there. But if I had to guess, he will go over 4,000 this year. Sladen eating tahine, pineapple rings like a true villain. I don't really love tahine. I actually prefer tahine on, like, a margarita. Like, on the rim of a margarita glass rather than on fruit. If you have mango and you put tahine on it, my dad is Mexican, but I might just not fit in this regard. I don't really like tahine. I think it kind of ruins some stuff. It's good on occasion, but I'd rather just have straight mango or straight pineapple. I don't really love the tahine myself. But J-Rock to party on the clock here. Goes Jamar Chase, so we're stuck with another Puka team. Fun. Yay, another Puka team. Bummer. It's not the Puka click that sucks. I think you actually have to take Puka at 4. I legitimately believe that. But picks 21 and 28 kind of suck. They are really disappointing, in all honesty. But I would agree, Omega. Even at cost, Hawkinson is very scary. There's not much reason to be taking TJ Hawkinson at all. Unstacked or stacked, it does not matter. Especially if you have all 3 Vikings already, I would not really covet TJ Hawkinson. But yeah, Rodgers unfortunately played too conservatively in the playoffs and choked away games he should have won, like this one against Jimmy G. To lose 13-10 at home when, like, they don't do jack shit is pretty fucking wild. But, like, even against Tom Brady, do you remember the year that Brady won the Super Bowl with the Buccaneers? Rodgers was in a pretty good situation, and in the NFC Championship game, or maybe it was the week prior to that, I forget, but the Rodgers-Brady matchup when Brady was a Buccaneer, Brady threw 2 interceptions. Brady kept the Packers alive, and Rodgers went 3 and out both times. The corner that they got rid of, I'm blanking on his name, but he's one of my favorites in recent history. Damn, I'm forgetting their fucking corner. He's not on the team anymore, so it feels weird that I forgot him. But he went over to the Ravens last year. Jair Alexander, that's what it is. Jair Alexander. Jair caught 2 fucking picks in a row in like the 3rd and 4th quarter. It was fucking wild. And Rodgers couldn't capitalize. It was brutal. It was sad. All right. Sucks that I didn't get Derrick Henry. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm actually going to trust my rankings. I actually have Rashee Rice as the highest ranked receiver. So I'll mix him in, and then round 3, I'll go running back. But I really don't believe that Jeremiah Love is worth pick 21, so couldn't do it. I can absolutely envision Rashee Rice being worth pick 21. And a lot of the time, people just take Puka with Drake London. They have the same bye week, so that's kind of annoying. But if anything, my most drafted players with Puka are London and Bowers or Derrick Henry. Those are the main three. So I'll add Rashi to this equation. If I have Puka with Rashi, it's getting him in the third, and it's not like I don't ever have him, but it probably won't be as common with one of the running backs in the third. But let's see what gets decided. I was really hopeful that Jeremiah Love would be there at 28. I don't have much love, so to get him on this team would have been fun and interesting. But Breece Hall goes. We just took Breece, so I kind of don't really care about that. Do I just go triple receiver? That's kind of the choice. I really like Olave. I trust Olave a ton. But I'm actually just going to go Kyron. Let's just take Kyron. Blake Corum's on the thumbnail. But I'll go with Kyron. I'm fine with that. The Rams RB1 should be pretty productive. Maybe Blake Corum is a big issue for him, but I still trust Kyron on the goal line. I still think Kyron is the main touchdown guy in that offense. So the double commitment to LA, the Rams, receiver 1 and RB1. This might be a Stafford team, but even if I don't get that, I'm not too worried about it. I think that's fine. But I know, right? I feel like last year, it makes sense that it didn't happen. But I actually legitimately talked myself into it. Where Rodgers is chasing Favre. If there's one thing Rodgers still needs to do, it's make another Super Bowl, or at least NFC Championship game, and really, really go out fucking swinging. But last year was a disappointment. The Steelers are not the franchise to be winning playoff games, so it is what it is. But I feel like we've been cheated from at least one insane playoff run from Rodgers since he won the Super Bowl. There hasn't been a ton of insane moments in the playoffs, but at least there was that matchup against Brady. They did look pretty good a few years ago. But Slayton got his favorite draft slot, pick 12. Danimal's on the clock at pick 11 in the third round. Zero got the 110. King Calorie got the 109. Heavy Hitter got the 108. Niners fan got the 107. Chris at the 106. Noah Sum, 95 at pick 5. I got pick 4. J-Rock the Party at pick 3. Osoj has drafted with us several times. If you're watching, let me know. But I assume at this point you are. And then CJ Willie did get the 101. I got my least favorite pick, though. Pick 4, I guess, is a little bit better than pick 5, but I don't love either of them. I'd much rather have pick 3 if I'm stuck right here. But Packers had a trash defense and never drafted high offensive talent, which was also an issue. Our special teams fucking sucked as well. Yeah, the special teams is brutal. You also never pick up free agents. Josh Jacobs was the first free agent in forever to sign there, and now I guess we know why. But yeah, free agency is also brutal. A big thing holding y'all back. But the one time you had a top 10 defense, Rodgers beat the Steelers. That is true. Back when you still had... oh, man. His name is evading me, but he's the elite safety. He used to play for the Raiders. Charles Woodson. Charles Woodson was a key piece of that defense. Puka going for 1,613. That's definitely possible. Would you do the Puka, Adams, and Stafford stack? On occasion. Not always, but on occasion. All right. About to be drafting again. We did take Kyron, so at least we have one running back. Terry is top ADP. Sure, I'll mix in Terry. No real fallers at all. Only one spot. So, really negligible in terms of ADP. But we're cooking. We're fine. Yeah, Packers definitely should have won that game. That game against the Niners, absolutely. But was he actually down 28-0 at halftime? That's sad. But Mostert had 4 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert. What, with the Dolphins? I'm not sure, but Brady won a Super Bowl with 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. What? That was the that Rams Super Bowl against McVay, the 13-3 year. Yeah, that may have been the worst Super Bowl in recent memory. Last year's kind of sucked. The Chiefs 2 years ago kind of sucked, but that one with the Patriots really sucked. All right, here I'll just go Travion. Let's shoot for the massive breakout. I like Travion the most in this round by quite a big margin. Kyron Williams, Travion Henderson, the same bye week is not ideal, but we'll just make sure we get other ones with our other picks. Just make sure I avoid other week 11 buys, but I'm not afraid of it. So far, it's not enough to be concerned. Rodgers was scared to run for the touchdown to take a big hit. He probably gets in. There's been moments when he's been a little too risk averse. But breaking that like shoulder at one point, the collarbone injury, that definitely got in his head, I think. But he lost some games to... He should have won and lost games he deserved to win when defenses allowed 40 plus. Their defense was always the Achilles heel, but at the end of the day, it can't be the only excuse. Sometimes the blame also falls on him. It's like Herbert. Like this year, Herbert has no more excuses. If they don't win a playoff game, it's all on Herbert. Everything is there that indicates they should win at least a playoff game, if not make a big run, if not make the Super Bowl. So I'm not going to give Herbert a pass this year if he doesn't deliver. Similar to Rodgers, there are some excuses that you get tired of making. But Love is going to win Rookie of the Year. That I would not bet on at all. I'd be shocked. In Arizona, if that's the case, I'm going to miss out because I don't have enough love to believe that. I'd be pretty surprised. I think it's going to be more of a committee than you think, Avi. And then the Cardinals are just going to be dog shit. I think Mendoza will win Rookie of the Year. If not him, it's going to be Cardinal Tate. But Tyler Allgeier's backup, he'll be lucky to get 950. Zero doesn't believe. But Jiri, still alive. This man don't stop. This evening, we just cracked the 3-hour mark. So yeah, we're going a little bit long tonight. But it's our 4th draft. We had 60 plus likes on the video. So getting it done. And I may not be live as much once we hit August. So I'm willing to get it in a little bit longer today. But damn, this is gross as fuck. Do I take Quentin Johnston again? I don't want to do that again. But, like, it's starting to feel like the right choice. I don't want Parker, but you know what? Oh, I didn't get it in time. I was going to say, I have Jiri's comment up on the screen. If anything, that's a sign I should take Parker Washington. But I'll get the bring back. We get the Rashee Rice, Quentin Johnston bring back. And now it gives me the excuse again to go with Herbert. I never regret the Justin Herbert selections. Yeah, Woodson was a dog. Absolute beast. When I play NFL Game Day 2004, it's like a Madden knockoff, but very high quality on the PlayStation 2. I don't play Madden. I go throwback. I still have my PlayStation 2. It still fucking works. And on occasion, I'll throw in this football game. The fumbles on this and the tackles on this are so violent, and like it really shakes your controller. You really feel it on the vibration. Charles Woodson will clothesline and force fumbles like no other safety in that game. They make Charles Woodson like a cheat code on defense. It's so much fun. This pick here, though, is really not that much fun. So let's make it fun. Let's go Justin Herbert. Justify the Quentin Johnston pick even more. Rashee Rice for the bring back. It all checks out. I never feel bad about my Herbert teams. And at least in this contest that's not Best Ball Mania, if this is where you have to take QJ, this is just where I'll take him. I think he can absolutely pay off. round 6 capital. In the Mike McDaniel system, we have repeatedly drafted Mike McDaniel receivers much higher than round 6. Last year, Waddle was still like a 5th round pick. We've drafted Waddle and Tyreek in the top 20 before. It might be a run-first offense because it's a Harbaugh team ultimately, but I'm starting to believe that Trey Harris will be really not that involved, and it's really just the top 2 receivers that you want. As long as they don't bring in Keenan Allen, I think this pick will hit. And paired with Herbert, I'm never going to be upset. So it is what it is. But too many concussions for Sam Shields. I didn't track Sam Shields' career. I'll say that. But Mostert with the Niners. Okay. Yeah, Mostert did play for the Niners. 2019 season NFC Championship. He dropped 4 touchdowns in the NFC Championship? I don't remember that. Holy shit. I guess because I don't track the playoff stats the same way. Maybe that's why. But 2019 was actually the year before I started even considering being on YouTube and doing this type of stuff. So, yeah, that's a interesting point there. 0. Rodgers sucked on defense, never wrapped up on Mostert. Damn, the Mostert game. That's crazy. Antonio Williams, Rookie of the Year. That's not going to happen, brother. If that happens, I'm going to miss out big time. If that's what happens. I don't trust that at all. I think they sign Stephon Diggs and Antonio Williams goes to basically undrafted, like instantly. Back down to round 18, where he came from. But knowing the ADP and how it falls and trickles down, even Ayuk is still getting drafted, so he'll still probably be on some people's teams, but he will flip with Debo pretty instantly. All right, back on the clock. Running back could be the move. I don't mind just taking both Rams running backs. Honestly, I think that's fine, especially if the plan is to just draft 6. But I did just take another week 11 bye. Obviously, that's what I said I wasn't going to do. So do as I say, not as I do, but I'm willing to say fuck it. Because here's the thing. Had I taken my other preference in round 5 instead of Travion, it would have been Quinshon Judkins. And that's also week 11. So it's fine. It's running back. It's not the position that I worry the most about. I'm much more worried about quarterback in terms of bye week blunders than any other position. But Brooks, Rookie of the Year. Brooks is not a rookie anymore. Can't qualify, even though he basically is in terms of time on the field. But I'm a Notre Dame fan, so rooting for J Love. He's so filthy, though. I think next year, J Love's going to look amazing. I think once they get a quarterback, he's going to look much, much better. But this year, I just don't know what to make of it. The new coaching staff is a little exciting, but it's the Cardinals, and yikes, it's just pretty gross. But I can go Dobbins. I think that checks out. I think Dobbins can survive the bye week, be available week 11. I do really trust Kenny Gainwell, though. And Kenny Gainwell gets the bring back with my Rams. I do have a high investment in the LA Rams on this team. So actually, yeah, I'll go Kenny Gainwell first. I need 2 running backs that don't have a week 11 bye that I feel decent about. But what about Jadarian Price? He's all right, but I think he's starting to get a little... He's moving down the board. He's been kind of recognized as possibly a little too valuable. He's okay in the 6th. At this point, when I've wanted to take him, it's been too late and he gets sniped from me. But I've been passing on him in the top of the 6th round. I think he's more of a late 6th rounder. I am starting to believe he's not that much different from someone like Ramondre Stevenson or Chuba Hubbard or Jalen Warren. I'd rather have Tony Pollard than Jadarian Price myself, because I do think while he is talented, he's pretty good. His rookie year could be a little bit odd, and I think early in the year he'll have some competition for touches. I think he'll win the job, but by the end of the year, I do expect Zach Charbonnet to be a factor, and that could be a big issue. I think I might rather have Charbonnet in the fantasy playoffs than Price, but to get there, obviously Price is the piece you need in Seattle. But Didn't catch many passes in college. That could be a deficiency for him. And that's where maybe it's not my favorite pick. But Bernard from the Steelers might win Rookie of the Year, to be honest. That I would not agree with at all. Rodgers hates rookies. Rodgers has terrible chemistry with rookies. They brought in Michael Pittman, so I wouldn't trust that at all. If anything, Bernard is going to kind of struggle to see enough volume. He'll be fine. He'll be okay. He'll be relevant. For the price you're paying, I don't think he's going to be terrible. But I would not ever bet on him to be Rookie of the Year. Not with Rodgers as the quarterback. But I disagree. The Herbert snipe was totally justified. We also got the bring back with Rashee Rice. I got sniped on Mahomes, so all's fair. All is fair, brother. You had Ladd. Herbert wasn't even making it back. The Hampton drafter would have ended up sniping you. But instead, you get sniped by the QJ drafter. It happens all the time. But back on the clock, I did not draft, what's-his-face? Chris Olave. So taking Tyler Shuck is not the move. I think I'll go Baker. We mentioned the bring back. We also have Kenny Gainwell. And I have good enough receiving talent where grabbing Wan'Dale I don't think is the best value for me. I think just having a really strong backup quarterback I like a lot. That also stacks up with one of my picks, Kenny Gainwell, who had 70-plus catches last year. Should be pretty valuable. Puka, Rashee Rice, Terry McLaurin, and Quentin Johnston. I think Wan'Dale wasn't as helpful to me as Baker was, even on the bench. But tight end could have also been the move. However, George Kittle was off the board. Travis Kelce, a bring-back option, was also off the board. Zero had already taken him. Fannin didn't fall all the way back at 117. He went at 112. But Baker stacks up with my running back, and there's also a good back stack available for him too. But Ryan says Boston over Concepcion. That's a bold stance. All right, I'm going to go Chris Rodriguez, and in Week 11, we have Chris Rodriguez and Kenny Gainwell in the lineup. I'm going to stop with these two, but that is my choice. I'll go there. Maybe I should pull up Tyrone Tracy for once, but I'll stick with C-Rod. I think he's more valuable. He is at the New York Giants. Last year, the Giants were an excellent matchup for running backs, so that should be a sweet spot. Yeah, that's a good matchup for him. Meanwhile, if I had taken Tyrone Tracy, they would have been hosting the Jaguars, and the Jaguars were one of the toughest running back matchups last year, actually. So if that repeats, it usually doesn't change that much based on personnel. I don't think all of a sudden the Jags' run defense is going to be really, really bad. And while maybe the coaching elevates the Giants' defense a little bit, last year they were just so bad in that department, I would still assume they're pretty bad. So definitely in terms of a last year's matchups, Week 11, C-Rod at the Giants is definitely a better play than Tracy hosting the Jags. Based on last year's numbers, that would be the case. I'll be right back. I'm going to turn off my air conditioner. It definitely doesn't need to be on this late. But all right, the team's coming together. We have our running back room taken care of. And maybe I can afford a sixth if I stop with two quarterbacks. I might still take one, but so far the team is Herbert, Baker Mayfield, Kyron Williams, Trayvon Henderson, Blake Corum, Kenny Gainwell, Chris Rodriguez, Puka Nacua, Rashee Rice, Terry McLaurin, and Quentin Johnston. Pretty fun team. I don't have a tight end yet, but that's always the position worth pushing. Jadarian Price is nasty as well, says Avi Hoffman. He is also a Notre Dame fan. But besides fantasy, I'm a Charger fan. Avi, I am a big Charger fan. Yeah. Chargers all the way. Shocker. I took Herbert and QJ. My ranks say McMillan. ADP says Chigokonkwo. I could use a tight end, but honestly, I don't see that much of a difference between Okonkwo and Hunter Henry or Brenton Strange. So I will ignore the rising price on Okonkwo. Even though it's technically past ADP, I'm okay with it. I already have Terry McLaurin on this one, and it's unstacked. So is it the most critical selection? Maybe not. If anything, I think the Chigokonkwo price has risen as Jaden Daniels owners just want to get the stack more consistently. I think that's the main reason. It's not that Okonkwo is a bad pick here, but I don't think there's a huge difference between him and maybe even Dalton Schultz. You know, I could see Dalton Schultz have more points than Chigokonkwo. I expect more touchdowns for Chig, but in his career, that's not been the case. Chig has kind of maxed out like 3 touchdowns throughout his career. So maybe he makes it back. If he does, I'll probably take him at 148. But I could also just go with Gadsden instead. We took Njoku on the last one, so getting the other tight end in LA is also fine. But Zero been saying Boston over KC all summer. I will say, I will draft Boston a lot more readily at cost than I will Concepcion. With Concepcion, I prefer that he falls into the 130s than to take him at cost. But all right, Chigokonkwo does make it back. So at this point, it's getting a little more unique. And sure, I will do it. I'll take him at 148. But at 141 with Baker, I prefer just going McMillan. But Chig, our tight end 1, pretty decent at 148. But thoughts on Keaton Mitchell? He's going to have 4 weeks with a house call. I think he'll have like 12 points about 4 different times, maybe only 3. But really, that's not enough to pay off pick 135. It's okay. It's not the worst pick in the world. I'm not completely opposed to taking it, but I definitely want him to fall for me to draft Keaton Mitchell. I think he's definitely being taken at his ceiling, because the main bet you're arguing for with Keaton Mitchell at cost is if Hampton goes down. And if that happens, Kimani Vidal is still going to mix in, especially in the passing game. Mitchell is not a receiving back, so he's going to max out at like 14 carries and like 1 reception, and you're hoping for 80 plus yards off efficiency and a touchdown off like a house call most of the time. I'm not convinced he's going to be the goal line back in that scenario. I think in the world where Hampton gets hurt, I'd rather invest in Kimani Vidal, almost undrafted in the last round, as opposed to Keaton Mitchell in the 12th. But Keaton will have some spike weeks, and that's what makes him more interesting than some of these other handcuffs. So it's the most expensive handcuff territory of the draft, but it's also an offense that deserves a luxury tax. So I'd rather draft him in the 140s, but in the 130s, it's still a reasonably justified decision. You want the Chargers backfield ultimately, and that's why I can understand it. But do I want to take it often? No, absolutely not. I don't want to be overweight on Keaton Mitchell. He's going about a full round, if not 2, too high. Hawkinson goes. I think I'm just going to stack up Trey Harris with Justin Herbert, further commit to the stack. The question is that really the position I need the most? Because tight end is actually pretty thin in terms of investments around this turn. And there's actually a lot of receivers already on those teams. Like J-Rock Departy has 8 wideouts already. Osoj has 6. CJ Willie has only 5, but I could see them being pretty good. He has Nico, Adams, J-Mo, Dobbs, and Hunter. This is the one team I think could take Trey Harris unstacked just because he thinks he might need it, but I don't expect J-Rock Departy to take him, and then Osoj might pass as well. I might get away with it, especially if I get Tesla instead. I'm not going to be upset at all. But grabbing Schultz before some of the other one tight end teams have a shot at it, locking up volume, I think, is also a fine choice. Like I said, there's a world where Schultz is just more valuable than Chig Okonkwo. They had much more production for Dalton Schultz last year. Schultz had a total 136.7 points. Okonkwo had 96. It's a new environment for Okonkwo, but sweet. It all paid off. We get Trey Harris to make it back. And I do think I trust Schultz more than any other tight end going after him. So scoop that up. We go with Trey Harris, another back stack, but got a little discount, only 6 picks, but feels better than taking him above ADP. That's for sure. But I did mention it when I took Quentin Johnston. I'm kind of starting to believe that the third receiver in LA in the Mike McDaniel offense is kind of worthless. Not actually like a player that you really need, because he just doesn't get on the field most of the time. And that's the main reason I think they don't bring in Keenan, just because they really don't need the receiver 3 to contribute at all. But yeah, definitely love the Chargers. I didn't grow up with the Chargers. I adopted them once they moved to LA, but I am not going to change for anyone else. I love the Chargers, and as frustrating as they can be sometimes, they are cursed. Ultimately, they are so entertaining. Whether they win or lose, it's always an extremely entertaining game to watch the Chargers. Other than the Jaguars game last year where they completely shit the bed, every Chargers game is very, very compelling, regardless of whether you root for them or not. It just always ends in calamity. It's such a fun game to see when the Chargers are on the TV. Plus, they got elite uniforms. They really pop on camera, so that's also cool. But I like their culture. Honestly, like, if you meet other Charger fans, there's not a lot of us, but they're all very passionate, and it's quite a scene. The last Charger game I went to was that Texans game, week 17. Their last home game that they've had. They played at Denver, then at New England the 2 weeks after that. So the last chance to go to a Charger game, I was there. And some of the people that dress up in Chargers gear are like so funny. Like, whether you're laughing with them or at them, like, it's just kind of hilarious, some of the costumes that some of them put on. It's legitimately worth seeing, but I don't want Geno. I really don't. We could go Kate Otten for this stack, but it feels pretty gross, honestly. If anything, I'm going to go Ted Hurst first. Ted Hurst, another stack with Baker, further justifies the pick. Let's do that. Even at 189, just getting the stack on the roster is totally fine. I need one more tight end for sure. I definitely need another tight end. Do I need another running back is the question. I don't think so. I think Gainwell and Rodriguez week 11 is going to be fine for me. So leave that alone. But is Herbert and Baker enough at quarterback? Or at 196, do I just bite the bullet and draft Geno? Yikes. But we're going to let J-Rock the party decide. He has Breece Hall. So if he wants to do it, he can do it. He didn't do it at 190. Will he do it at 195? Or will I actually opt to do it? It feels disgusting. It feels totally disgusting. But he goes Gesicki. He goes Gesicki. I think by taking Ted Hurst, I really don't want Cade Otton. I'm going to stop at running back. My receiver room, I think, is going to stop at 7 as well. I'll draft one more tight end. I'll do it in the last round. I'm actually going to take Geno Smith. Fuck it. I never take him, so it's just an exposure click at this point, but 11 spots past ADP, definitely more tolerable than above ADP. And while he might get benched, I think it's going to take a while. They have a very late bye, so Geno Smith has some job security for the most part. And while I think he's worthless in the playoffs, he is the type of guy that just chucks it like crazy when his back is against the wall and there will be garbage time. Their defense is not that good this year. So It's probably worth drafting this late. After Brissett, probably worth it. But unstacked, obviously, not the best way to do it. The Garrett Wilson drafter is Chris. He has 3 quarterbacks. He didn't take him. He sniped me on Jaden Daniels. And we snipe him on Geno Smith. Big whoop. Big fucking whoop. But Chargers, Broncos over the Chiefs. F them in Kansas City, says Abby Hoffman. Those are your words, not mine. I'm just reading this. It was so painful to have to read this, though. Oh, boy. I was pulling teeth having to read this aloud. But what's the best finish you have had on DK or Underdog? I brought this up earlier. I've never played on DraftKings, but on Underdog last year, I made 2 finals, and we finished in the top 150, but not enough to brag about how much money we made. We were profitable in those contests, but in terms of payout structure, it was not the highest payout. In a 300-person pod, to finish 150 is not that bad, but not that good either. We didn't have the pieces we needed in Week 17. But how good will Nico Collins be this season? Probably top 10. I would assume like wide receiver 9 is a very valid rank on him. I don't think he's going to be worse than wide receiver 11. I don't think he'll be better than wide receiver 7. So wide receiver 9 feels relatively appropriate. But I think I'd rather have A.J. Brown. I'd rather have Drake London. And then maybe I'd rather have Rashee Rice. So actually give me wide receiver 10 on Nico Collins. Wide receiver 10, I believe, is my ranking on Nico. But I'll take him over Pickens. I'll do that. Pickens is number 11. Back on the clock. Is Njoku still available, or did he go? I think Njoku went. Yeah, so this last pick is a tight end. Could mix in Parkinson. It's not the end of the world. I have a few other Rams already. We get the bring back. Evan Ingram is also a technical option. I never take him, but it was too late. Evan Ingram, not exciting enough. Parkinson had 8 touchdowns last year. Pick 213. Why not? On occasion, why not? But, all right, here's the team. We have Justin Herbert, Baker Mayfield, and Geno Smith unstacked. Kyron Williams, Travion Henderson, Blake Corum, Kenny Gainwell, and Chris Rodriguez. The running back room is very interesting. We have both Rams running backs. That's something. But Puka Nacua on this one, Rashee Rice, Terry McLaurin, Quentin Johnston, Jalen McMillan, and Trey Harris, along with Ted Hurst. Receiver feels very fun. We have 2 top 10 guys in Puka and Rashee. Terry is probably top 20, if not top 25. And then last year, Quentin Johnston was top 30, I believe number 28 in points per game. Probably going to do that again. So very valuable, underrated asset. If anything, I'm talking myself into pulling him up more. I think he can still have room to rise. Not going to lie. But McMillan, good stacking option. Same with Trey Harris and Ted Hurst in theory. Super late, not bad with those quarterbacks. But Okonkwo is pretty solid. Schultz is very safe. And then Parkinson might score a bunch of touchdowns just like last year. But who knows? Who knows about the Rams tight end room? But I have a lot of Rams on this one, a lot of Chargers on this one, a lot of Buccaneers on this one. A Jaguar, a Patriot, a Commander, a Chief, and then another Commander and a Houston Texan. Those are not bad offenses overall, especially the Rams, the Chiefs, and the Chargers. Those bets are pretty solid. But all right, that's going to be it for me. We'll take one last rip from the pipe, but not many comments to catch up with. Mr. Mufasa saying the Rams receiver 3 is Tiefer. That's probably correct. But how much different will the receiver 3 in LA be from the receiver 4? That is the question. It's possible that Colby Parkinson is right there with him at number 4 because neither are that coveted. But do I subscribe to the director, Chargers Football on YouTube? I'm aware of the director, but I can't say I watch a lot of the director. There was a time when I believed in his hype videos, but I will say this. The last time I watched the director with, like, conviction was when he convinced me that we should take Isaiah Simmons over Justin Herbert. The director had a mock draft the year that they took Herbert, and he wanted Isaiah Simmons instead of Herbert. He actually wanted Tua. He really wanted Tua. I also wanted Tua at the time. I was sleeping on Herbert, but I was actually in on Isaiah Simmons because the director was hyping him up. That was a while ago. But the director has a dope YouTube channel. Mad respect to the director. One of the most vocal, most famous Charger fans. And has a dope YouTube channel. But yeah, that was a fun game last year. Rams receiver 3 really doesn't matter. Puka and Adams getting all targets and then Kyron. Yeah, the receiver 3 on the Rams should score a lot of touchdowns, but might not get many targets. But you want the tight end 1 in LA. That's for sure. All right. My team is interesting. We'll see how receiver goes and running back goes, but overall, I think that team is pretty decent. The Geno click, whatever. It's whatever. But any members in this one? We got a Niners fan in this one, Zero in this one, and Danimal and Sladen. Okay, on the other side of the board. Goff, Tyler Shuck, and Aaron Rodgers for Niners fan. That's pretty sweet. That checks out. Especially at cost. 114 Goff is always nice. With Amon-Ra and Laporta, excellent, just like our team on the last one. Ken Walker, Josh Jacobs, Baishal Tootin, Isaiah Pacheco, Tank Bigsby, and Katron Allen. Excellent running back room. Even the Pacheco click, I don't hate. In full context, it fits. And in Detroit, it is a valuable offense. So I guess it's all right, but it feels like the only over-expensive pick. Everything else, though, feels amazing. But 3 quarterbacks, 6 running backs, you may have some thin production elsewhere. But the double elite tight end and Tyler Warren and Laporta, that's excellent. So receiver is the question. Amon-Ra and Olave, the double elite anchor. Metcalf and Cortland Sutton are pretty solid, but maybe not the most flashy. Shaheed, Wicks, and Keenan. I love this team. This team looks amazing, honestly. This team is great. Good one, Niners fan. This team is kicking some ass. Honestly, this team feels like it's a pretty safe one to advance. The starting roster is pretty great. And unless you're just wrong on Jacobs massively, I think you're in excellent shape to compete. Love this team. Absolutely love it. But Zero was also in here with Mahomes, Stroud, and Brissett. I will never take Brisket myself, but Mahomes with the McConkey bring back the Kelsey stack, as well as Tyquan Thornton. You got upset that I took Justin Herbert. But Genty, Saquon, Tyrone Tracy, Keaton Mitchell, and Sean Tucker. We mentioned Tracy and Keaton as very polarizing, interesting picks where they go. Their ADP is hard to say is elite on both of them, but maybe you prove the doubters wrong. But Genty and Saquon always feels pretty great, and then Sean Tucker also good value, super late. Ladd, Luther Burden, Roman Dunze. Boy, you love your Chicago Bears, don't you? Marvin Harrison, Michael Wilson, the double Arizona. That's why you took Brisket. Jalen Naylor, Jalen Knoll, Tyquan Thornton. The double Jalen, the alliteration. Very similar names with those two. And then Kraft and Kelsey. Pretty fun. Honestly, this team fucks. This team is pretty dope. Zero fucks? No, this team at least has at least one fuck built into it. Excellent team, Zero. The running back room is polarizing, but we'll see. Glad you did not get Justin Herbert. I'm really glad that didn't happen on this one. Some lunatic sniped you on Justin Herbert, but Danimal is in here. He has T-Law, Bo Nix, and Tua. That checks out. That's totally fine. James Cook, Javonte, Pollard, Harvey, and Charbonnet. Honestly, I don't mind it. To have Charbonnet on this type of build, totally fine with it. I think it's very legit. Especially if Javonte stays healthy. But Pickens, Waddle, DJ Moore, Diggs, Debo, Judy, and Bernard. So 2 veteran free agents, and then 1 guy I think can get traded. Very fun. Pitts, Goddard, and Njoku. You're the one who sniped me on Njoku. I kind of wanted to take Njoku for the 2nd time in a row. You couldn't just let me have him, could you? If anything, that pick is a bit of a luxury. You may not need him. If anything, maybe another receiver could be helpful, but it's also okay without it. Another running back might be nice just because Charbonnet is such a luxury. And then maybe you didn't need Tua, but you have Bo Nix stacked up. T-Law is unstacked, though. That, I think, deserves another Jaguar. T-Law, I think you need to stack up with at least somebody most of the time. Slayton, though, with Allen and Josh. Yo, our favorite combo. What did I tell you? It happens a lot. Josh Allen and Jordan Love is a very common pairing. Chase Brown and Travis, Rico Dowdle and Jordan Mason, Kimani Vidal, for what it's worth. I don't hate the Kimani Vidal pick, but top 4 by Mason always feels decent. No issue with that. Jefferson, Christian Watson for the stack. Tyson, Jaden Reed, the double stack. Shakir stacks up. Jalen Coker. Calvin Ridley, hoping to get traded, but might be relevant in Tennessee. I doubt it. Keon Coleman, though, stacks up in a kind of worthless type of way. But Sadiq, Gadsden, and Dulcich. You took Sadiq above ADP. Gadsden fell. Did you pass on Kincaid? No, he just was never available to you. Kincaid went 126, but got it. Noah is very upset. That's who took T-Law. That's pretty funny to get sniped. But Zero, this year's JSN might be Nico. It's possible. Yeah, that's totally possible. I don't trust Stroud enough to say that it will happen, but he should be top 10. But I feel like JSN has not had his breakout yet. Nico has definitely had his breakout. So that's where the comp is maybe not perfect. I think Ladd being the next Nico, or like Flowers being the next JSN, that is, I think, a little bit more interesting. But no, definitely not drafting Mason Taylor. Fuck that shit. But Noah says I low-key cooked, boys. Which pick did you have, Noah? Which pick were you? Oh, you got to be pick 5 with Noah Sums. If you're going to hype it up, fuck it. I got time. Let's take a look at Noah. Pick 5. I'm going to go in order, though. Not in totality. You took JSN. You got lucky enough to get Derrick Henry at pick 20. That was a bailed out selection because somebody took Pickens at 14. Devontae at 25 is fine, but I prefer Olave. Ted McMillan falling to 44 is pretty solid, but I still think he could be more of a 5th round value than a 4th. Quinshon Judkins to bet on the Browns is pretty mid, so it's fine, but so far I wouldn't say there's anything special. BTJ at 68 is awesome. That's great. Chuba Hubbard at 77 is gross. Brock Purdy unstacked. You can backstack it, but it's a good click. No issue with that. Downs at 101. I guess the Keenan truthers are out to play in this lobby. But Kittle stacks, but is banged up. JCM I hate. I hate drafting JCM. Darnold with JSN, and then Daniel Jones with Downs. Quarterback checks out. It's fine. Hawkinson at 164 above Dalton Schultz. I don't love, though. The ADP I just think is wrong. Stribling at 173 that's all right. Helm, Ray Davis, and Tank Dell. Nothing bad, but I wouldn't say there's something that's like truly elite. Purdy only stacked up with Kittle and Stribling. I hated the Chuba Hubbard pick on this one. Chuba Hubbard is one of my least favorite picks, so it is what it is. Good luck, though. The team is very solid. I got no complaints. Love the Brian Thomas selection. And overall, while maybe there are some weird selections, there's really good values here. Like Downs as well is pretty interesting. And maybe Brooks just does nothing. Maybe Chuba Hubbard is the guy just because Brooks gets hurt again. But I am in the opposite camp. I do not love Chuba at all. I hate Chuba. If anything, I think he's like 2 rounds too expensive. I think he should go where Corum and Brooks go. I think you should go like pick 95, 96 at the end of the 8th round, and then Brooks should go at the top of the 9th. That's what I believe in my heart. Okay, that's going to be it. We promised it. We're going to take one final rip from the pipe, so now's the time. Let's do it. Tonight was fun. We drafted 4 teams and had a good time. If you haven't done so, drop a like on the way out. But we had like consistently over 60 plus viewers all night. I really appreciate that. And excited for the season. Excited for training camp to start. And definitely this week is when the pre-recorded videos, the rankings videos, are going to start coming out. I think I'm going to save the win-loss picks for August. But absolutely starting to get close to the time here. So I'll be dropping some rankings very soon. But later, Mr. Hoffman, appreciate your chat contributions tonight. Appreciate it, Danimal. You too as well. One last hit. We already did it. Later's on the Menjay. You know it. You know it, Jobin. But love the Bears, says Zero. You know, he's in love with them. He's just so down. But you're welcome, bro. Allen plus Love. Yeah. Haven't I mentioned it? So many teams with Allen also have Jordan Love. It's easy to fall into. It's a trap that's it's just like drafting Jalen Hurts and Jared Goff together from the 101. It's the same shit. The same fucking shit. But uncorrelated higher owner paired, says Paulino. Gotta flip the board, Paulino. Yeah, or push QB2 further. Hubbard, Downs, Kittle, JCM, Darnold, Dimes. Legendary run. The value on Downs is pretty nice. I thought the BTJ click, though, was way more legendary than Hubbard. To not include BTJ in this, I think is slander, Sladen. But appreciate that, Noah. Whether you're talking to me or whoever, appreciate that. Bro, one of my finals teams last year had Purdy, Tua, and Penix, and all I had was Purdy and Jennings. Jawan Jennings was pretty legit. Jawan Jennings was actually very valuable. He had 9 touchdowns last year. Jawan Jennings is pretty decent, but to also have only Tua and Penix, that's wild. That's fucking crazy. That's insane. But good night, Zero. Later, Paulino. Good night, gentlemen. Good night, everyone. We made it to the end of the chat. It's the end of the road, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Goodbye.